and then people wouldn't assume how I am either based on on the looks. So that's what I think like we tried to do on here. Like we had like a right guy on here not too long ago, like a further right guy. It's like we want to cover all spectrums and be open for anybody to get information from different
Shout out my
perspectives.
boy Alan Lowe, my running mate. I'm gonna run for mayor.
All right.
Yeah, I am. Or
Nice.
I
Okay.
think city council first.
Okay.
But you know, I'm definitely gonna. I gotta get in, man. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on.
I love that.
But so we were speaking on that. Dave went to the second annual Pride Festival,
Oh, the recent
the
one.
most recent one. Yeah,
that was our
and
third.
he was saying, "Oh, the third."
Yeah, that was our
Okay.
third one.
And oh, you're saying that the second one you did.
I did a specific kind of speech. So that's what I was like, which one did he listen to? But yeah.
And so we looked you up, and you know, one thing that Dave really put me on, I'm gonna give you your credit, Dave. Linktree
All right.
on Instagram.
A lot
He's
of
like,
links.
He's like, we need a Linktree, and I went on your Linktree, and you got.
I got it all on
Yeah,
there.
I was like,
yeah.
yo,
10 items on
Dave
there.
was like, yo, John, this is what we need. She looks, her thing looks way better than ours. I was like, okay, you got me. You do, because then we were looking through it, and it's like, you can really research.
It's just easier, it's organized and it's like everything's there. Like, especially with someone like me, I do a lot of different things. And so rather than directing people to 10 different sites, I'm
Right.
like, here's a link.
But with that being said, too, like you do a lot of stuff. You're busy, very busy
Very
person.
busy.
Do you enjoy it?
I do. I love what I do. Oh my gosh.
It's funny because I literally this morning when we saw that you had the thing, I was like, she's busy. She's
But
busy
it's
this week.
It's so fun though. Like I love, I get to dance. I get to educate people. I get to bring awareness to like real issues that people are afraid to talk about. And like, that's my everyday life. Like, I think that's really cool. Growing up, I never thought that would be my life. A lot of times, especially when I had a 9 to 5 and you're working the grind, you're like, am I ever going to get out of this? Like cycle, and so I consider myself lucky that I get to do genuinely what I love for a
awesome.
living.
And I was looking also too on like in one of your links that said like you've been doing like your own thing for like probably like about a decade now or so.
Which one?
Well, just like is like left job and you started like running this.
Yeah. So, all right, where can I start? So the belly dancing. So we're gonna touch base on that.
Yeah, I have
too,
that on my
assume.
list. I have that on the list. Too.
Yeah, so belly dancing came first. I've been doing that for a little over 15 years. And I used that as a method to cope with my own traumas that I went through. And I've been doing sexual health education for probably 12 years now. So it came a little bit after. Because I realized through dance and through some of the stuff that I was going through that we did lack resources, especially in our area, when it came to both sex ed and sexual assault resources and awareness. And one big part of sexual assault prevention, in my opinion, is access to sexual health education. Like we tend to focus a lot on the recovery aspect of, people that have been through sexual assault or people who have been through domestic violence or any traumatic circumstance. We talk about the recovery and what can we do for those survivors, but what do we do to prevent these things from happening? So my big thing is like, well, for prevention of sexual assault, you need comprehensive sex education. And how do we get access to that? Especially, in certain parts of the country where we don't have access to sex ed. And Florida is one of them. It's hard to get access to sexual health information here locally.
Do you think in Florida that's kind of convoluted to like say like a right person like DeSantis or whatever, because you're saying like the prevention of that, if people don't know about it, then they're going to put themselves in situations like that. But I think like from a DeSantis side or whatever, they're like, oh, you're perverting kids.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've heard that aspect, but I think that's a misconception because
and I'm not saying that. I'm saying like that could be.
Of course. Like, so for example, in the state of Florida, it's not required to have sex ed in schools, and it's not required to even have information on consent. Really, sex education for like elementary school children would be information on consent. It wouldn't be like the act of sex, obviously.
And I think a lot of people think the
They
opposite.
think that, yeah. And it's really just providing information on consent, teaching your kids how to say no. And it's okay not to kiss your uncle on the cheek. It's okay not to hug this person if you don't want to hug them. You know, as long as they're learning about consent early on, then it gives them a better voice later in life if they come across a situation where they need to stand up for themselves.
And that seems
you know?
reasonable.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy to me how even that information is not required in our schools, at least, you know, here in our state. And any information that is provided doesn't have to be medically accurate, which is like crazy to me too, because then that means that the curriculums that are being presented could technically just be made up, and, you know, it's not regulated, you know.
Yeah.
So that's concerning to me as well.
No,
I-
oh, go ahead.
No,
Not to get deep all right away, but you know.
Hit it, yeah. Well,
well, let me just start off by saying, everybody, welcome to Flagler Weekly,
Oh, yeah.
episode
we didn't even do
27.
the intro yet.
Yeah.
No,
Hello.
this is the rolling intro. I love it. We have Erica Rivera in here, the Sexpert. And you know what I love about that name? Most people think like sex, but it's like sex and gender and just everything, sex education.
All the
education.
things.
You know?
right.
Well, I noticed that in one of your podcasts is the Sexpertise podcast, but that's the double entendre. Also, the name is like the tease part at the end, because it's like a teaser of information.
But like an expertise.
Right. So
Yeah,
it's a play on words.
tease, though.
Instead of doing tease with an I chose tease like
Ah,
tease
ah,
because I'm
gotcha.
hoping that you're wanting to learn more.
It's like a tease of information.
That's a great name.
Yeah.
That's a great name. But it's funny because exactly what you're saying, just I had zero education. And it's funny because I told him I was going to say this. This is like who educated me on sex.
Oh man.
And he was like, what were you, like 22 or 23 or
Yeah,
something?
the
like
thing
that?
is, like, he's like my little brother's age. So I'm like, what, like 9 years older than you, seven,
Yeah.
8, 9.
And like,
So like I seemed as much older at the time, but I wasn't old. I was only like in my lower 20s, you know?
and like, my dad passed away when I was 15.
Okay.
And so I started hanging out with his brother like a lot more, you know what I mean? Just over there all the time and stuff like that. And then he was like the big brother, you know what I mean? And we're at like the 15, 16-year-old age and stuff like that. So I'm asking him questions and here we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I'm like 24 at the time. You know what I mean? They're like
Oh wow. Yeah.
asking me like,
Right.
I don't know.
But also, well, I will say to his maybe defense or his expertise,
Yes.
pun intended, I don't have any kids out of wedlock. And I also have never had an STD before.
That's amazing. So
Yeah.
there was safe sex was practiced
Right.
in there.
Yes. Getting into the safe sex. So I do have what Dave might say inappropriate questions, but I think that's what we're here for, right?
But that's what we're here for.
That's what
We're
we're-
here to talk about what people are thinking, but they're too afraid to say out loud.
Exactly. But I'm going to say it in the most respectful manner and let me know if like, yo, that's not how you're supposed to say
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
So speaking to Dave, he's has his bachelor's in nursing.
Mm-hmm.
He has experience of being a registered nurse. He's done this for a long time. He says that like, not saying that we would, but like, okay, if a girl has like STD possibly, let's say it was like a one night stand, you know what I mean?
Bad
Something-
situation.
That I might add, no, I don't know what happened that night, you know? He's like, don't worry, John. Like the chances of you actually getting STD are pretty slim.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say your exact words?
Yeah,
were?
from female to male transmission. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think?
Yeah, you're actually correct.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
But don't do it.
yeah,
Kids,
don't do it. Don't do it because there's always that risk, and
Right.
I'm always gonna preach. You know,
And man, he always be
Listen.
making fun of me when I go up to the clinic.
listen, still,
They got you this time, John.
yeah, wear a condom, get tested. You still
Right.
want to avoid that risk as much as possible, but a lot of STIs are pretty common nowadays. Some people may have something and may not even know it. So unless you're testing regularly, I mean, the person, someone you talk to today probably has an STI that they just don't know about.
Wait.
No, it's that. No, seriously. So like, there's a couple, ones that are the stigma. It's like, okay, especially like herpes, like HSV type 2.
Doesn't like
there's
everybody
such
have
a
that pretty
stigma,
much?
but there's so many.
Whoa.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a very high percentage of people that have it.
I did hear like 1 in 4 or something like that.
Yeah, and it's so common, and a lot of people are asymptomatic, so they don't even know that they have it. And so if they do have unprotected sex because they're like, oh well, I got tested and I'm clean, whatever, they they can still pass that along. So it's wild to me. Like, I tell people too, like with herpes especially, it's just a glorified skin condition. But I'm
Whoa.
not saying to do it.
And the HPV is pretty much the same,
But
too, right?
yeah, HPV
Probably
too.
even more
HPV
popular.
is even more common, especially
Human papillomavirus.
human
Yeah,
papillomavirus.
and there's like mad kinds of it too.
Yeah, there's so many strands. There's cancerous. There's several cancerous strands. There's several strands that cause genital warts. Again, that's another virus that can appear asymptomatic. So if you have a good immune system,
Right.
most of the time you can fight HPV, unlike herpes, which you will, it's lifelong. But if you have an immune system that's compromised, HPV can still stay with you, especially with women, later in life. If you have a cancerous strand, you have to make sure you're getting your regular checkups, because if there's precancerous cells on your cervix, you want to make sure that you take care of that. And it's like whole thing. So obviously I'm going to always preach safe sex. You want to, diminish that risk, but to back up what Dave said, it is very common, and you don't have to have the anxiety, I guess you would say, that you would have had in the past when it was less known about these things.
Gotcha.
Especially if you're in a committed relationship. Like I know there's people that and I've met couples that they meet, they want to get together and everything, and one may have something, they're like, oh well, I don't think it's a reason to like just break things off and be like, okay, well, this is work out. No,
you
like
ain't worth the girl.
I did not say that.
That's what the face says.
We could be friends.
Yeah, but it's all about like getting educated, so doing the research on that particular STI and what methods you can use to have a healthy sex life with that person.
Okay.
There's all kinds of barriers that you can use, from dental dams to different kinds of condoms. It doesn't have to be male condoms. There are female condoms as well that provide a little bit more coverage.
Can I ask you about that real quick?
Sure.
Okay. So, dental dams, right?
Yes.
Like, I've seen one before, and it's like half of this laptop screen. See, I'm being serious right now.
I've never seen one.
It's
You
true,
open
but
it up,
You're
and-
right. It's like
It's like a fruit roll up that's like not that you don't eat.
that you
know?
don't eat.
Yeah.
You eat
that-
it. You don't swallow it.
so like, okay. So
But
like,
it smells nice.
so like, my thing is like, okay, let's say like your girl has like herpes.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to put this over the top of it and like,
Yeah.
Okay.
But isn't herpes only even
skin-
transferable when you're having an outbreak as well?
Well, it's skin to skin contact. You're most susceptible to it when the person's having an outbreak. If they haven't had an outbreak in a long time, if they're on suppressive therapy, for example, then the chances of getting it are super, super low.
What's the name of the drug that they all put?
Valtrex.
Valtrex, yeah.
Valtrex is the most common. There's like generic brands like a Cyclovir and things like that. But you have to be careful. Like it's crazy because like even with meds, you have to be careful because the Cyclovir causes like liver issues. So, but like any medication, side effects can include.
Yeah.
okay, now here's another. Let's just call this a situation. This didn't really happen. Okay, so I'm messing with this chick.
Okay.
Me and her are just messing around, just the two of us. We go and get tested. She has chlamydia and I don't. And she says I gave it to her. And then I get tested like 3 times and I don't have it. And then the nurse is like, son, she's cheating on you.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, doc. She says that it could be dormant in the guy, and it could get transferred from girl to girl, and the guy could like never have it.
I don't think that's true with chlamydia though. It's like an active infection, right?
Yeah, that's not true with chlamydia. I would tell you the same thing. And who is she messing with? Because
She wasn't
it's
messing.
not, it's not like
I can't believe you would suggest that's gaslighting. I can't believe you would say that.
No, but you know, you
don't trust
there's
her?
questions. Well, I mean, or yeah, because with
lying.
yeah,
She's
yeah,
lying.
she's lying because like with it's not like with a virus. There's a reason why like HPV, HSV, when it's a virus, it can stay dormant. But with chlamydia, that's an active thing.
It's a bacterial infection too, isn't
It's
it?
bacterial. When it's bacteria, those are the curable ones. Those are the ones that do not stay dormant in your system. So you couldn't have had it dormant in your system and given it to her if that was the case. If it was chlamydia.
Those darn Orlando chicks.
So you gotta, in that case, you'd have to just follow up with some questions, I just have that tough conversation.
Hey man.
But this is why sex ed, all these questions are why sex ed is so important. Learning about STIs and.
So what do I say? What do I say? Hey, the Sexpert said that's not possible.
Well,
how do you bring that up to somebody?
You have to just be straightforward and say, look, I have gotten tested multiple times. I don't have this particular infection. It cannot stay dormant in my body. You can show her the test results. You can show her the fact that you have spoken to medical personnel and ask her, tell her this is now your platform to let me know, what's going on your end.
Not that this is all a fake story.
No, it is, yeah. But turning it into an
hypothetically
argument isn't going to be helpful. If you want to have these types of conversations with your partner, you have to make it a space where both people can be open, even if there's something wrong or uncomfortable to discuss.
I can.
Yeah, that's a real issue.
It's a
You
real
can't
issue.
just ignore that.
No, not at all. And with intimacy coaching, for example, because I do that too for couples, LGBT couples, even singles, me sit down and talk with them. 9 times out of 10, when a couple comes in or a couple calls me, I've had one couple tell me, for example, we've been together for a long time, sex is stagnant, or, they're going through these issues that are causing like arguments within the home. They've considered divorce. I mean, really bad stuff. And then when they come talk to me, it was all a matter of lack of communication.
I was just saying that.
Like literally lack of communication or not having the ability to discuss something with their partner that needed to be discussed. So sometimes there are blockages, like if sex is stagnant or, maybe it just wasn't the same as it was before, that person may have gone through a trauma that they've never told their partner about. There's still a stigma behind, sexual assault. There's still a stigma behind certain sexual fetishes and stuff like that. And if you're not talking to your partner openly about that, it can bite you in the butt later. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Can we bring it back real fast? Because now you said in the area, which is Palm Coast, and this is Flagler Weekly. So we want to try to start asking everybody, well, how long have you been in Flagler for? Like, how did you come to be in Flagler?
So I moved to Palm Coast in May of 2003.
Okay.
So there was like nothing.
20 years ago.
There was like nothing here. It's been 20 years already.
Yeah.
I'm originally from Massachusetts. My father works as an engineer for Comcast. He's a fiber optic designer, and he transferred with Comcast to Jacksonville originally. So I moved to Jax in December of 2000 and then to Palm Coast in 2003. And I've been here ever since.
Oh, how do you like the area?
There's hesitation because when I first moved, I did not like it here at all. But
Did you go to like high school here?
I was a senior when we moved to Palm Coast.
Oh, that's a rough time.
Yeah, it was hard. So I kind of had a love-hate relationship with this area, but now I'm an adult and
I hear you.
I moved beachside. I will say I love living by the beach.
Flagler's the best to live in.
Oh my gosh,
so nice.
it's so nice. It's so nice. Like I appreciate it a lot. Like I tend to travel quite a bit. I'm sure you guys see it online, and it's nice to just come home to like quiet beach.
What year did you graduate high school?
04.
04? Okay, so like I saw that your partners with Chenzo does web. Did you go to like school with him? Do you know him from high school?
And I don't know him from high school. We
Oh, okay.
actually we met here locally, and I was on his. He had a podcast. He's probably still has. I've been on 2 of his calls actually. We did a phone call type podcast and then an in-person podcast, and
Okay.
we just vibe really well. Like he's very open, and has these candid conversations, and he's
Yeah,
good vibe.
he was my brother's best friend, and my brother passed away, so he like adopted me as like a brother. So
That's so cool. I could
yeah.
totally see that. Chenzo has a big heart.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So back now
Okay, yeah,
to
we're moving on. So now you're in Palm Coast.
Yeah, so now I'm here.
And this is like from one of your links. It says, I think it's in your coaching. You say like learn from my experience and professional training. So I was
Yeah.
wondering like, well, what?
I can totally go into that.
Okay.
We'll talk about experience first, since that came first before the professional training. But so I graduated in 2004. Growing up, I was a straight A student, National Honor Society. I had dreams to go to Harvard Medical School. But moving, things got kind of iffy. I still graduated from FPC with honors and thought that I would be college bound, but I actually got kicked out of my home. Grew up with very strict parents. That's part of it. And when I got kicked out, I was actually homeless for a little while. So when I was homeless, I got raped, and that was my first sexual experience, unfortunately.
Dang.
Yeah, I was still a virgin. I was very religious growing up. So I was like, I'm gonna save myself for marriage, and I grew up in a very Catholic household. But then I got raped, and that just kind of like blew my mind. Like everything just changed, and that's why I said that after that experience, college was no longer a priority. Survival was. So I had to get a job. I had to get on my feet, had to find shelter, all that good stuff. And once I did, and once I was working, and once I had my own place, that's when gears shifted, that I was like, okay, maybe I'm not going to go into emergency medicine anymore. Maybe I should go into sex health. I mean, this terrible thing happened to me, and what can I do to impact others with that story? So that's why I started studying sex health. So if we fast forward a little bit, I ended up, a friend of mine was like, hey, have you ever, excuse me, have you ever sold sex toys before? And I was like, no. I'm like, 'cause I'm like, this Christian girl was like, heck no, like would never. And she's like, well, she's like, this particular company, they could help you become a certified educator. Like they pay for a portion of tuition, all this good stuff. And I was like, that's one way to do it. I didn't picture myself selling sex toys in order to get that education. I thought that I would just, get a loan, go back to college, whatever. But, being debt free, and I still am to this day, I was like,
Awesome.
yeah. I was like, I'll just do this. Screw it. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing in-home parties, doing demonstrations, how to use sex toys and things like that. But the education was included. We were constantly being trained. I became a territory sales manager for that particular wellness brand. And, I'd go to Ohio for training. I'd go to Vegas for training. I'd travel to continue that education. And even though that is no longer what I do, I've continued to go to any conventions that I could go to. Sex health isn't necessarily something that is regulated where you go get a college degree. I mean, you can get a degree in psychology and major in human sexuality, which is a dream of mine. But instead I got certified as a certified sexual health educator through Indiana University. And then my continuing education credits come from the workshops I go to studying under other sex therapists, like Madeline Castellanos. She's a sex therapist in New York. I've studied under Rachel D'Alto, who was on, she was the relationship expert on Married at First Sight. I've also studied under Dr. Debbie Herbenek. She's also a relationship expert, and other gynecologists and things like that. So that's how I continue my education. And I think that's the long story short form. But, and to this day, I still, during COVID, I took some extra courses online. I'm always trying to keep up. I feel like sexual health education is always evolving. We're learning more about STIs. We're learning it, especially, and I keep touching base on fetishes, but like that's very prominent now. It's becoming more of a conversation. People are not hiding that necessarily anymore. So studying that as well, and how to talk to couples about that when they're in a coaching session.
See, like the fetish thing is interesting to me because I feel like that comes from a I'll say childhood traumatic place. A lot of times, I feel
It
like
can. It can. Not all. So some fetishes too can, kind of like certain smells will bring you back,
yeah,
If there's certain things that you associated with pleasure, especially during like a pubescent age, you may end up fetishizing that later in life. So it really depends on your senses. It could be a trauma. It could be something good, but something that was impactful at that age.
Yeah, because one of the questions or like bullet points that I sent you was like choking, pulling hair, spanking. It's like, you know, and once again, from as much of a respectful point as I can, like I'm not asking you your personal
No, of
preference,
course
but
not.
like what would make women like that?
It's not just women. I think,
Whoa.
it's
Blew my mind right
like a
there.
lot of
It's
people.
not-
I've heard of like really. I feel like people somehow like to be shamed or they feel like they deserve that also. And like a lot of powerful people, I've heard that like they like to when they do their fetish thing, they want to let go and not be powerful.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people that have, like you were saying, like a CEO mentality. I mean, they have to be the dominant, the authoritative person all the time. And that can become exhausting. So they get home, they kind of want to do that role reversal. That gives them a break.
I could see how a dominant woman in the bedroom could be like attractive.
Or do too.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, I'm more thinking about me.
Right.
Whoa. Dave, I'm gonna clip that. But so like what I will say, and this is like personal preference, but like my reasoning for like if I would like let a girl choke me
Right.
is less about like a sexual attraction and more like it's taking my mind off like about to ejaculate. You know what I mean? I'm serious.
It's a
like, you're like,
distraction.
yeah, so I'm
yeah.
like, it's like, okay, now I can like go for a longer time and stuff like that.
Well,
you know?
it's not always like a lot of fetishes too aren't always a sexual thing. Sometimes it's a comfort thing. Sometimes it's an anti-anxiety for that person. It just depends. And I'm going to actually bring up a really different, because my saying is don't yuck someone else's yum. So don't yuck someone else's yum, but adult diapers, like
Whoa.
yeah, that's a very different type of fetish. But I've read in a lot of articles, a lot of studies, because I do a lot of research, that it's more of a comfort thing, not necessarily a sexual attraction or a sexual fetish, but some of these individuals that are into that lifestyle, they find it comforting. Either they lack some sort of like their caretaker growing up may have not been there for them, and that seems to be comforting for them, or vice versa. Maybe they grew up in a very, very loving home and they attached themselves to something that was very comforting as a kid, and that just kind of stayed with them. That's why I mentioned earlier the senses, like certain smells, certain experiences, certain tastes that can become fetishes later in life. So, because a lot of people just assume like, oh my God, how can you be sexually aroused by something like that?
Right.
And it's like, it may not always be a sexual thing, So, but I would keep that in mind for anything, the spanking, the choking and things like that. Not, always being in control and then wanting to release that control is usually the main thing with
Correct.
that. So, yeah.
So
But we could do like a whole episode on just that. Like,
I have some notes here, and some of them I'm not gonna go through, or we might have already gone through.
Okay.
But so I'm here for the questions that men don't want to ask, or they're embarrassed to ask.
Okay.
They're scared to ask. Okay. Premature ejaculation. So, these are some thoughts that I thought of that came to it, and you let me know what you think about this.
okay.
So, like when I'm jerking off, stop laughing, Dave.
You're right. It's very serious. My bad.
So when I'm jerking off and I'm like watching porn on my phone, which that's a whole thing in itself, that it hasn't been around, but like I'm like trying to like finish as quick as possible.
Okay.
I'm just trying to like get in and get out,
Just-
you know?
Yeah.
But like when you're having sex with a woman and you start getting to that area, you're trying to like hold it back. But my body's muscle memory is telling me, oh, we're here. Let's go. It's time to eject. You know what I mean? So do you think there's some kind of correlation between that? Because also what I think of is like you practice how you play. But I'm like, I'm not going to sit here like touch myself for like an hour. Like I get there, like
No, but you
what is
can-
it called? Cusping or
Edging.
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 I was just about to bring up edging, like if you've ever tried edging, because that would be a good way to kind of.
But my
It's-
question to you would be like, what is the rush?
I feel like that's
Yeah, well, yeah, that's
that's what I'm, it's
on
like,
top of that,
it's
like,
like what, it's not with the rush. It's like, what am I? No, it's like, bro, an hour of my day? That's like $100 to me. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, I'm trying to. I got
mean-
3 minutes before I can like get my car. And
but then that's how you're gonna think when you're in the bedroom. You're gonna be like, your body's gonna be like, I got 3 minutes, and you're
Exactly.
like,
that
no.
is a good point.
Like,
That is a very valid point.
I mean,
that is very.
I think it's worth the time. You know, like.
man, that's crazy. That's really like
Because it's-
loving yourself.
and plus, then how's that like with your girl or whatever? I mean, like,
And the same goes for women.
you
Actually,
need to like handle her
it
first
back up.
and then handle you second.
no, I'm.
We're
I'm
like,
down with that.
listen, we're like ovens. Okay, we need to be preheated. Y'all are like microwaves.
Yeah,
So
I'm cool with I'm cool with that, and I'm cool with all the foreplay and stuff. It's just after the especially during foreplay, because now I'm getting
you're
worked
all
up.
like, yeah.
getting worked up even more, and now it's like it's ready for that final drum solo. You know what I mean?
This is making me. But what about like any intimacy also?
Yeah.
Like
What do
you're
you
making
mean?
this like a very like
Pump,
like a
pump.
job,
Wham,
boom,
bam.
bam. Like you
Yeah.
don't like
Nah,
just hang out.
Nah, like even
sit
just
around?
being in it is like it's like a radioactive. Like we could go at any moment.
But that's
man.
another reason why if you pay more attention to her pleasure first, it's buying you time. I know it's it's like, oh my god. But then if she's already taken care of, then you don't have to worry as much as
Is
how
that
long
true?
you're gonna last.
Is that true though?
I mean-
okay, so it's like okay, and I've actually, let me not say had an ex because I don't want people to go through my exes or anything, but I've messed with.
But you know of a person.
I know a
who-
person. She's like John. Head is great and I love it, but like I need that penetration.
Well,
You know
and
what I
some women do, and that's the thing is like everyone is different. What brings each woman pleasure is different. Each man, like we get lumped together a lot of times, but
Mm-hmm.
like we all want something different. So again, that's part of the communication is knowing that before you go into it. But if because you're talking about, well, if my body thinks it only has 3 minutes,
Right.
what do I do? Well, definitely do a little bit more for her first. If you know you're not good, if
Yeah.
you know you're going to climax quicker than you think, but yeah, for some women, penetration is very important, especially, we have our G spot, which you have to get through penetration.
See that. Finish what you're saying. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I mean, is it, you
It's
go
about
ahead.
the G spot.
Okay, let's go ahead. Yeah. Because
Okay.
that's probably where I was going anyway.
Okay. So Dave claims that you can make any girl squirt from G-spot stimulation. I've tried. Maybe I'm just not good at it.
Sounds like you're Russian.
Okay, yeah, I know, right? Like I'm like, well, I mean, 3 minutes.
3 minutes
I
gone.
don't know, like,
So I'm saying, that was more hand pressure, correct?
so you
Dave's
can
like, I'm not going to give away my secrets.
you can, yes, every woman is capable of G-spot orgasm. Whether or not the squirting is a trickle or a waterfall, that's different for every woman.
Okay.
Okay, so the G-spot is a little bean-shaped mass on the upper vaginal wall, and it's about an inch or two in. All
Hold
right,
on.
so
Okay.
upper vaginal wall. That's why we talk
Would
about the
are
come
these
hither.
two better or the middle two better?
Middle
And I'm not asking preference, personal. I'm sorry. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I'm
What's
hold on.
stronger?
I'll just put this in. It's going to take longer than 3 minutes. And
It's
you
gonna
want
take
that
long.
middle grip, John.
You'll last longer that way.
And honestly, then you could put your palm on the top.
because you say there's top pressure as well.
Yeah, because then you could.
What's going on?
Yes,
What's
the
going
top
on at the
pressure.
top?
Because you have, so your G spot, our G spot is on the upper vaginal wall. So it's going to be right at our mound right here. So if you're having intercourse and you press down on that mound, you're putting more pressure on the G spot as well.
Because they can feel it through both sides.
You can feel it through both sides.
Whoa.
And that can be super, super intense. So, so it's there. Yes, we can all achieve that. With the squirting, it just depends. It could be a trickle, it could be a waterfall. It just depends on the person.
So I'm gonna speak for him since he doesn't want to say it. But okay, so would you say it's like this second set of lines in, or all the way?
2 inches. So I guesstimate about
Can you go too far?
If you go past it, it's not going to feel as good.
Wait, Dave, let her coach.
It's gonna move though too. It's gonna
What
move.
the
It's gonna,
fuck?
that spot's
Because
gonna
you
come
can-
further out.
because you
Eventually,
can,
you
like-
might just have the tip in, and like it'll
Because
be
you might
like
be able
that.
to you might be able to hook it. It's a bean shaped mass, so it's
Is that like when they cook? It's like they'll be like this and it'll like push you out or something like that. Is that what's going on there?
I wish I had a puppet like
Yeah. You need
the next
episode.
episode. We're bringing the
You
puppet.
need like a big pillow size like
yes,
vagina.
the big yes. Yeah, because we're losing track. So yes, the answer is yes. An inch or two, depending on her anatomy, you're gonna feel it. You're going to feel it. Okay, so you're gonna go in. You're gonna feel it.
Is it
you're gonna
is
want
it back and forth, or is it
You can
up,
either
like
massage.
Morse code?
Listen to her. She's either gonna want you to massage it, or she's gonna want you to like hook it and
Whoa.
and do this motion.
Oh, so I felt that. I felt
you
that.
have felt that before, right? And you kind of pull on it. You're putting a lot of pressure on there. Now, if you use your other hand and press down on the mound, now you're putting pressure from the top and from the side.
Okay, so now, and I'm not trying to be like,
And you were talking.
I don't want to say I know squirt isn't pee, but so where's the squirt coming from? What's going on?
It's actually coming from the Skene's glands. So they are next to the urethra.
Okay.
All right. And that's why for a woman, it feels like we get the sensation like we have to pee.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because of how close to the urethra it is.
Mm-hmm.
But just like how men can't ejaculate and pee at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
neither can we.
Cool.
So when we squirt, we can't pee at the same time we're squirting. So it comes from the Skene's glands. If you look up the Skene's glands on Google, it'll because we don't have diagrams here, but just look it up. It's next to your urethra. And so for the women out there that are listening, the next time that you are either having intercourse or someone is fingering you and you feel like you got to pee, don't stop. Don't ask him to stop, him or her.
Okay, gotcha.
Because there's some women who get scared. They're like, oh, no.
Yeah, they're like,
no, like I'm like, you're missing out.
yeah, you're about to miss out on the greatest thing
yes,
ever.
greatest thing ever. You'll never want to not do it that way again.
So, okay, now a couple more questions I have.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of post-nut clarity?
I've heard of the term post-nut clarity, yes.
Okay, so like, guys, this is for you.
Yeah.
Now, there's pros and cons. This is what I'm kind of coming to you for.
Okay.
So, okay, now somebody like me who might be prone to premature ejaculation,
Maybe.
maybe hypothetically, if I'm a guy that's prone to that stuff, what I would want to do is clear the chamber before I go over to Shorty's crib. You know what I mean? So, but then also in that chamber is like testosterone, the want to drive from fucking Orlando to Palm Coast. You know what I mean? And stuff.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
want
yeah.
to be like, fuck it, I'll put $40 in gas.
But once
Fuck it, you know what I mean? Then it's like, wait,
once you empty it out, you're like, well,
this is what I was going there for.
yeah.
It's like, man, get out of here.
Yeah, it's a mental thing, because if you clear out the chamber before you go, what's good about that is, the ability to last longer,
Like less
you're that, which is a great thing, but now you're relying on yourself to
Yeah,
make sure you actually follow through.
yeah, because that's a thing too. Like, I was gonna say hypothetically, but I've heard that I'm like aggressive, but in a good way. They're like, I could tell you want me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
but then they can also tell if I have done that before because I'm
And
just
then
like
you're not as you're like,
I'm just
well,
chilling. Yeah,
I'm just here.
yeah. You know what I mean? I'm just head behind the back. You know what I mean? So they're like, don't do that. And
Yeah,
then
there's
also
pros and cons for
yeah,
sure.
one of them called it, and this is I don't want to say scientific term, but gummy dick, where it's like not like,
Definitely scientific.
you know what I mean? Like that, and then that second round.
Gummy dick.
I
To me,
don't
that sounds like a different
Flaccid,
thing. That
but
sounds like
it's
you got
not
like
flaccid.
a yeast infection.
Nah, but it's like where you kind of gotta like hold it up there and then like, you know what I mean?
And that's the worst. It's as a woman, like that's the worst.
So you agree with her?
I agree with that.
You don't.
But I feel like, again, not all women are the same.
Mm.
But I can understand like why a woman wouldn't want that. I mean, especially like when we want that firmness, that pressure. Because I was also going to talk about penis size because we were talking about like the 2 inches.
Oh, no.
Well, I mean, because we seem to be rolling that way, but
Okay.
if you have gummy dick, you're not going to be firm enough either to maybe reach some of those spots that we need you to reach.
That's fair. But then it'll like get there. Just give it a little bit of time and it's gonna like
I feel like if you have that, I think the girl is going to feel like you're disinterested and that she's going to start thinking something's wrong with her as well. Now she's going to feel funny.
And then there's anxiety, and then
Yeah.
she's never going to orgasm.
so
Exactly.
whoa.
Exactly.
So you're speaking about the recharge zone.
Yeah, and I think also you're going to find as you get older, your reboot time is going to get longer.
Yeah.
So you need to learn how to hold out and maybe like edge and then like do it for a while and save that for the
Exactly,
very
Dave
end.
says he'll have
Earlier I
sex
mentioned
and then he'll
edging.
stop before he'll come and just be like hanging out. I'm like, what is wrong with you, dude?
And that's not like formal
It's
like
not.
that. It's not like, all right, break.
So
You know,
formal.
It's not formal at all. But like, yeah, like
Are breaks normal like that?
Yeah. I mean, for edging, I think it works.
because it's like, you can have like a passionate thing. This is like,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
And
you can
she
have a
can come.
luxurious day of
Yeah, because
Multiple
like
sessions.
hanging out. You always like reprimanding me. Like you wasting too much time.
Yeah, man.
well, yeah, if you're spending the day with someone, it's very doable to do that. You can edge while having sex, and then say, okay,
Have you
like,
ever had just like a day where you don't do anything except get food, hang out?
Watch movies.
No,
Smoke.
no media, no.
What,
nothing.
just
You're just hanging
sex?
out with your girl. You're hanging out.
just
here and there.
one-on-one interaction?
Like all day
Hurricane
long.
time. Does
Yeah.
that count? Hurricane season?
No,
That was
but
like
do it-
for-
you do it
that was
luxury-
forced.
you do it
That was
leisurely.
Forced
Yeah.
interaction.
See, me, I can't like 24 hours of somebody like me and him. We were fighting right before you got here.
Oh my god! What the heck?
Oh,
No, like
Whoa, where'd the dog go?
there was,
Baby O's there. Baby O's there.
Oh,
I was gonna say there was
Yeah,
another
Yeah,
human.
that's my
in
son.
I
Yeah.
was like, what is going on?
No, but no, yeah, like I totally know what you're talking about. I've been in those situations, not to get personal, where you just spend a lot of time with someone and you're intimate with them because you can be intimate with them without orgasm, without that being the goal, which I don't think in any sexual experience, I don't feel that orgasm should be the goal. Like I don't think that you should have goal-oriented sex because
What?
that does cause anxiety for both parties.
So what are we doing here?
So
I feel like you don't have like any
If you're-
intimacy or anything.
Jeez,
You're like,
dude, yeah.
very- you're very get the job done. This is just another
I mean,
task.
but I'm not gonna yuck your yum. So.
I'm just trying to understand.
Well,
Like,
here's the
is
thing.
it just like the feeling? Are we just like?
But you're more likely to reach orgasm if that's not the goal. You get what I'm saying?
Well, see,
Because-
like I said, I hypothetically might be a premature ejaculator. I'm reaching orgasm. I don't have any problem reaching orgasm. But,
yeah, but like, okay, but there's two people involved. You know what
Right,
I'm saying? And
right.
so when you have goal-oriented sex, that can end up causing anxiety for both parties because then, she may be thinking like, oh my God, I'm taking too long or they're taking too long. And is there something wrong with me? And is there something wrong with me? Like those thoughts is what prolongs, reaching orgasm because you keep thinking that has to be the goal. Whereas if you just have this relaxed, like, if you're just in a safe space with your partner and you're able to have this sexual journey and the sexual experience with them without that being the goal, and that you're not worried about your partner caring if you have an orgasm or not, you're almost more likely to reach it at that point because you're not worried about it. You're not anxious about what do I look like and how am I acting and am I taking too long and da da da. You know what I mean? That causes, and it causes anxiety for both parties. Only because I've heard of men too, you know, who some people suffer from ED, you know, erectile dysfunction. It takes them a little while to get going, and you know, then men worry about the same thing, like, oh my god, I'm taking too long to get hard, and now, you know, what is she thinking? But if orgasm isn't the goal, you're more likely to enjoy that experience.
I've definitely been in an experience. It was possibly like a year long, maybe 6 months to a year, but it's like, so I wasn't like having sex regularly, but then when I would have sex, I would have anxiety about coming quickly. And then it's like, I would do it, you know what I mean? And then it's like, then like say the person might not want to have sex with me, you know what I mean? But then like, okay, then it's like another like month goes by, then we have sex again, you know? And then it's like, oh, it's like, holy shit, you know? But then it's like, I haven't been having sex regularly. This is before I started clearing the chamber.
Yeah. Do you ever, I mean, this is kind of personal, but you don't have to answer. Do you ever use like other sexual aids? Like,
I've tried a cock ring before. But
cock rings,
I'm scared to death like my dick's gonna fall off. No, I'm dead serious. Like, I don't want to ask you, have you ever tried one? But bro, that shit's tight.
Yeah, it's tight because it keeps the blood constricted so that you stay harder longer.
That doesn't seem natural. Like, I'm like, bro, this is not like, I would not like restrict anything on my body like that. You know what I mean? And I've done it. And then also there's like hair, and I'm like, holy shit. Then it's
definitely got to be careful.
Yeah. Then like, and I'm, once again, this is gonna get a little crazy, but like shorty was like, whoa, soaking wet, crazy. You know what I mean? So then I'm about to come, and then now I can't get it off.
Oh my
you know what I mean?
You don't have to take that off, though.
You don't have to take it off.
When I came through it, it was like a fucking hose. Like, like, it was bad. So I was like scarred. That's not good. It didn't
What
work.
about, okay, so if rings are not your thing, have you ever tried like prolonging cream? Like they're...
Okay, problem with that too.
Okay, what's,
so,
yeah.
so the numbing cream, right? So they're like, oh, do like 2 swipes or something like that. You know what I mean? And then I was like, all right. So like I put it on my thing or whatever. And like, I was like, I don't think it works. So I put a little bit more and I was like, oh shit, it's like an edible. Like it took a minute to kick in. But I'm like, now I can't feel anything. Now
it's just there.
Then I was telling my shorty to like give me a head. She did. Now her mouth numb.
Oh my goodness.
Then I like tried just doing gummy dick. Then now her vag is numb and she's like, I can't feel nothing.
Oh my gosh. Now I'm wondering what brand of numbing cream you use. Well, it shouldn't be like a numbing cream. It's supposed to prolong you. But okay, well, that's a whole nother conversation. But
You know, throw that one out
but
the
yeah,
window.
let's just,
Inferior
like,
So, okay, let's see. What else have I tried? Bro.
but he hasn't tried edging because he's not about that.
Well, hold on. Like, how do I say this? I feel like I've tried edging where like she might be like giving me a head. I'm like, whoa, slow down, stop, I'm about to come.
Yeah.
But then it's like now it's just like 9. Now I'm on 9. Bing, like I just
Then
hit.
you just and it's
Exactly. That's what I'm like. This ain't working either. I could try edging by myself, but it doesn't work out in the game time.
yeah, that's the thing is like with edging, it's a practice. It's something that you do by yourself and you try to get used to. And
You want to know what honestly I would say is like my favorite personal is like it's like when like 2 dogs meet or something like that. Like I just like put it in and just sit in it for a little bit. Just like, hold on, let's get acquainted.
Don't move.
For real, like I need like, bro. Then I'll like, you gotta like, you know what I mean? And then you kind of like, okay, we here. I'm cool, you know. But and then tell me what this possibly is. But I call it ghost nut. It's when like you ever like pull out and it's like, Dave, you might know what I'm talking about. Like it's like. You feel like
you're
you're
having
coming.
the orgasmic
Yeah, but you're not.
contractions
And then your
without-
dick is still hard. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But it's like, it's just like, okay, so I got that act of like coming out, but I didn't actually.
That can happen. Orgasm doesn't always go together with ejaculation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But and so that's the confusing thing between guys and girls, because it's like, this sounds crazy. I don't care about the orgasm. It's that feeling. It's almost like peeing. You know what I mean? Especially after you're not trying to, and then that like the explosive is like, wow. And then it's like clearing you out. You can really feel the clear out. I'm like, because I can feel when I'm like, it's time, you know. And also, I'd say I have a very like large volume, so I can definitely tell when it's time to clear the chamber. You know what I mean?
You have that pressure,
And
you know, ahead of time. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was kind of gonna go into another topic of like cheating and guys clearing the chamber and stuff like that.
He skipped the size part.
Oh no, let's go back to size. No, let's go back to size, because I did have I had size of the ship versus motion of the ocean.
Yeah, because we were on the topic of G-spot and what you were explaining, and it made me think of size, because you were like, well, if you go past it, are we going too far? Like, is that too far? And so there's several answers to this, because again, it depends on the woman. They may like, you know, full penetration, where if you take up their whole vagina, touch their cervix, whatever. But because our pleasure spot is only an inch or two on the upper vaginal wall, you don't really need to have a large penis. However, a deciding factor on what a woman's preference is usually the girth, more so than the length.
Yes.
And the average size is 5.6 inches.
Yes.
And the average girth is about 4.3, 4.4 circumference.
I've never measured. Is circumference around?
Around circumference. So like, you know, there's this misconception that you have to have like this, like 8, you know, or 9 incher, but like you don't have to. There was also a survey. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but there was a survey that was conducted amongst like 1,400 women on sizing and what their preferences were. And women, according to the survey, women prefer a larger penis size for a one night stand, but not a long-term relationship.
Nah, yeah, they call that boyfriend dick, but that's not, don't put me not you, but don't put me in that boyfriend dick category, because girls be wanting to get pounded out for that one night, but then I feel like they want the boyfriend dick because they don't want him going out and cheating, and you can't keep control of that anaconda. You know what I mean?
You don't think it's just the fact that
I feel girls feel safe, but like, it's like, bro, don't raise your voice at me. I want my boyfriend just with this shit that can really control my life.
I was trying to correlate that survey with what I was just saying though, about like, you know,
pleasure spot.
The pleasure spot. And
that's very true.
If you're pounding it, you know, sometimes it's, for some women, not all, because I'm only talking for the percentage that does, but for some it just hurts because we don't have any more pleasure spots up there. You know, it's just, you're going to reach our cervix, and then, you know, and then what, you know? So that's why I think girth is preferable, just because that pressure being put against the G-spot, you know, plus, you know, most women, I think the percentage was only 31 to 40% of women orgasm via intercourse anyway. Like the majority of women need clitoral stimulation.
Do you think that's when they find someone that can make them come, they usually stay with him, even if he's like a jerk?
Yeah, I think.
What?
There's probably, it could be a factor for sure, because it's definitely
a factor.
But I read this thing one time where it said like when girls masturbate, especially like starting to masturbate, they don't penetrate themselves. It's a rubbing motion. So I remember like reading that, and it's like, it's not about that.
It's not about that. 80, I think it's, if I can remember my statistics correctly, you know, it's like 80% of women need clitoral stimulation to have an orgasm. That's where most of our nerve endings are. You know, if you look at an anatomical diagram of a clitoris and a penis next to each other, it looks exactly the same. Like, you know, we have over 8,000 nerve endings just in that little spot alone. So it's super important. Like that's an organ you can't skip. So
okay. Have you ever heard of and obviously I have a lot of like slang terms for stuff.
That gummy dick, girl.
I know you like. Honestly, I have never said a cuss word on a podcast before, and I did talking to you guys, and it's because I'm flowing with you guys, and I'm like sitting here like I'm a professional. I'm a professional.
I'm sorry, but
No, it's fine.
I'm
It's
I'm
just-
one of the people that would come to a
It's
professional.
very like casual.
What
so.
I appreciate about your professionalism is how you can meet me at my level and make me feel comfortable. Thank you. I appreciate
cool.
that.
I think
You're not
yeah.
like, be like, John, but I'm trying to be
No,
very
yeah.
respectful. So, the crazy button. So, the crazy button is, I think, the cervix, but that back wall. You know what I mean? Now, they say, don't touch the crazy button. Like, just stay in that first 1 to 2 inch range or whatever with some chicks, whatever. But you hit that, it's like, bing. Now you wonder why she's crazy. Now you wonder why she's calling you. So all these young jitterbugs out here, little Dave, I'm like, bro, don't hit that crazy button, bro.
Hit the crazy button.
Don't do it unless you really like, you know what I mean? So let me ask you this: are women aware of that? Like, are they women aware of that? Is that a pleasure spot? That back wall?
It can be for some.
Isn't I've heard that? Is
It
there
can
a
be.
T spot? I've heard that word before.
I've heard the term, but I haven't really studied that too much. But I do know that massaging the cervix can be pleasurable, not pounding it. Like if you reach.
Oh, wow. Let me give you a couple
Hey,
phone
Hold
numbers.
on, real quick.
But
It's
because
3
you
minutes
can,
too. He's
like-
like all of a sudden just like, bam, bam.
Like,
And
No,
he's like-
this is
he's
round-
like,
I
give
keep
it.
This is round
forgetting
two.
that.
This is round two.
I keep forgetting you have 3 minutes to do this.
I'm saying.
God, those girls are tough, man. Those are some tough girls.
Yeah, but like for some women it can be painful, but for some it can be pleasurable, but it can be pleasurable to massage the cervix, if you're having that romantic, slow, but if you're like pounding it, it's sometimes you could do some damage to the cervix, which is not good.
So, okay. Like, this is really hard for me to wrap my head around. It's like, I gotta just say, why are we acting like women don't want to get pounded out?
It has to get built up though.
Some do. Like I'm telling you, some
When you say some,
do.
you're almost making it seem like it's not like
some do and some don't. Like
I'm telling you, it's like 80%. I'm telling you.
But hold on now.
I can't.
No, never mind.
But see, I can't I can't say as a sex educator, like I can't say that though. Like I don't want to put incorrect information out there.
Okay.
But
I could just say 8 out of the 10 women I've been with.
Yeah, like it seems as though a lot of people,
You think that's
people enjoy
trauma?
that.
Hold on, bro. I
You
was
think
want to correlate this. Now you're saying like all these like different people, and she just pointed out like for like short term things, people want that rough or they're this or that. So maybe you're getting
You might be getting
maybe
the,
you're getting a cycle where you're just that. I'm cheating on my boyfriend.
Remember,
Yeah, and that's why old girl had the clap, B.
women prefer that for one night stands.
Oh,
Oh, God.
look at his face. He's found out he's been used.
I wish we could just like do a gif of this moment. Like, head like mind blown.
Wait a minute. Holy shit.
Well, it was only
I'm
3
just-
minutes, but it was an intense
Yeah, I'm
3
just,
minutes. I might hit you back up.
just preaching the statistics here.
Wow. That just blew my mind. Holy shit. And this goes back to me not having any sex education at all. Oh my God. That is
Man.
crazy.
No, sex ed, it's important. It's important.
Definitely is important.
Dude, like and this is going to sound so dark, but like being raped and that being my first experience, it made me think about like how in high school, I'm like, I knew nothing about sex. And I think rape is going to be hard to handle no matter what. But I think if I had gotten educated properly, my coping mechanism, like my response to it would have been healthier.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's just wild to me that in school, like even places of worship, because I was so religious, like I wish we had talked about it more in church.
Now you're like similar to my age because I graduated in like 2000 or no 99. So, but I remember.
Okay.
So you go to like a BTMS or no? You said you came here
No,
after that.
I moved.
Senior year.
I moved my senior year.
Because I remember the health education teacher was like this lady, was very large, Miss Scott, and She was a Sexpert.
You're like,
You know,
usually it's a gym teacher or science
she was
teacher.
gym teacher-esque.
Gym teacher-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have wanted to try to perhaps speak at the public schools here. It's so hard. It's so hard. I've only been able to speak at one school, and that was actually the GED program in Bunnell, for ages 16 to 21 or 22. And that was good, but man, it's hard. It's hard to get into the public school.
What age do you think is appropriate to start talking to kids about sex?
So I think it's starting in elementary, definitely consent education. Once we get into middle school, we should be talking about sex because that is when you're reaching like a pubescent age. And so we want the girls to understand what's going on with like, their periods and things like that. Boys are starting to ejaculate, have wet dreams, things of that nature. And if you're not talking about that, that can be a very startling, experience. So I feel like at that time is a good time to start talking about it and talking about safe sex, STIs, avoiding unwanted pregnancies, but not just focusing on that because even in school, like I think we've all had a teacher that touched base with us on that and they kind of scared us out of having sex because it was like these videos on like the most horrific STIs and stuff like that. But we don't talk about later how like healthy dating, like so in high school we should be talking at least about like dating and stuff. We don't talk about how this can be a pleasurable experience. So I've met people that that are in their 60s 50s 60 years old that have come to me and have said that their whole life sex to them was just a way to procreate. They didn't realize that it could be this pleasurable experience and that you can just have sex for pleasure. And I think that it's important that, as a young adult that you know that it can also be done for pleasure. You don't have to have children. You don't have to just utilize it as a way to procreate. There are other benefits to having sex.
Is that what Elevate Daytona is kind of about? Is that more sexual or is that more like with the pride and the genders?
Elevate Daytona Beach is actually a platform that was created by Daytona Beach Chamber for people to speak on their stories. And I was chosen to speak on sexual assault prevention and recovery. So there was several speakers who all had a different story, a different cause that they care about. And you have to audition for it. So I actually had to do a mock presentation before I was chosen. And I was actually surprised I was chosen because again, like in Flagler, Volusia counties, it is a little bit more conservative. So what I have to say isn't always well received. And the fact that I was chosen, I was like, okay, this is good because the audience I want to reach is here. Whenever I travel, like if I go to New York, DC, I was just in Austin recently. Those audiences are open-minded. They're okay having those conversations, and that's awesome. But I really want to reach the people that aren't comfortable having those conversations. So I just did Elevate Daytona Beach on that final week in August. And it's 5 minutes. You get 5 minutes and a 20 slide presentation. So
Kind of like a TED Talk?
Kind of like a TED Talk. Oh, exactly like a TED Talk. So in those 5 minutes, I talked about my personal story and ended with how we can pave a path to prevention as far as like sexual assault. And it was really intense because I actually went in those 5 minutes, I was somehow able to fit in my childhood abuse, the sexual abuse, my military experience, just I fit a lot of stuff, but I was super transparent because that's the only way you're going to get other people to feel comfortable talking about themselves, talking about their experiences, things that they might be ashamed of asking or talking about. So that was very, very personal, very, very personal.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's awesome. Elevate Daytona was great. And when that YouTube video comes out, I'll make sure to share it with you guys.
Okay.
How did you come to be the president of the Pride Festival?
Okay. So with Pride, there's an organization called Flagler Pride here locally, and the founder is Aaron Harris. In October of 2021, I actually created a Pride night at what used to be Moonrise Brewery. And the reason why I did that is because we don't have a lot of resources for the LGBT community, because I'm like, okay, they go through the same stuff. They go through different traumatic experiences, sexual assault, domestic violence as well. So originally I was like, this could be a good outreach event. I also felt that we didn't have any LGBTQ spaces locally for like adults to meet each other. Like a lot of the LGBT community here has to drive to either Jacksonville or Orlando to go to like a gay club. So I had asked Moonrise, I was like, hey, how would you feel if I did like a social here? You know, nothing crazy. We just kind of meet up, have a couple beers, and they were all for it. So that was October of 2021. When Aaron actually approached me on Facebook and was like, hey, I see that you're doing this adult social. You know, how do you feel about collaborating? Because Flagler Pride already had like a youth social, and they were already doing the annual Pride events. And I had spoken at the second Pride event. And I was like, yeah, like, why have a separate thing when I can just collaborate with an existing Pride organization? So that's how we started collaborating. And this past year, so I've been president technically since February of last year. So even though she's the founder, she was lacking kind of the support that she needed to become a 501c3. She was kind of running it on her own, and she's really young. She started this right out of high school. So she just turned 21 actually this year. And, so I commend her for that, but she didn't have like the support or the networking. So that's where I came in and was like, all right, let's get your 501c3 going, and let's do Pride this year bigger than ever. You know, now that you have the support, I am with the chamber here locally. I network a lot. So I kind of pulled my resources to kind of help her build that foundation, so that when I'm no longer president, they have like a path to success now and are able to continue growing. But yeah, I love the organization. You know, I spoke on sexual health as it relates to like our LGBTQ youth during the second Pride event. Actually, this was our fourth. I can't keep track.
These years are moving faster.
Yeah, they're moving very fast. So the first one she did on her own during COVID here in Flagler. Second one, I was a speaker, and then the last one, yeah, okay, so yeah, we're right on track. So, and then I did this one, but yeah, so that's how I became president. You know, so
awesome.
Now we collaborate on 3 events every month. We have our adult social is now at Coquina, and that's on second Fridays. Our youth social is at Sweet Melissa's Ice Cream on second Saturdays, and we have an LGBT business networking event on third Tuesdays at the Jacked Up Bean, and that's for LGBT friendly businesses, because that was something else we were missing. There is a ton of networking groups in the area, but none that cater to businesses that consider themselves LGBT friendly.
Because I think we would all agree that Flagler County is red in political standing. How have they been with you guys? Have they, like, I don't want to say welcomed you with open arms, but you know what I mean? Have they been okay with it? Have you caught any red tape?
Well, there hasn't been as much negative as you would think. So the mayor was actually at our Pride events. Like, he's made it a point to come out. We haven't had like any proclamations or anything like that. We're hoping for one next year, but he's been to the events. I don't know. We haven't gotten a lot of red tape like I thought we would. I mean, we set up a booth at First Friday here, and we get more hate, I think, from some of the locals than we do the important people, that are here. So, I mean, if Erin was here, I'd ask her if she's gotten anything individually, but myself, not so much. I mean, I did hear about, I can't mention over the air, but I did hear about someone in the area who didn't come to one of my fundraisers because they said I was pushing the LGBT agenda. And I'm like, that's so far from the truth. But I think that anytime there's hate like that, it just means we're doing something right.
Well, when we posted about it, and it went like a lot of people like commented and shared.
There was a lot of hate speech,
and there was like a lot of back and forth. And, like
we even made a video. I'll send you the video.
Oh yeah, I need to see it. Yeah, because like, but I also try not to pay too much attention to it. I mean, I know that there's been little things here and there, but nothing that I would say is like major. Because even for like our business networking event, so we do that on third Tuesdays at the Jacked Up Bean, and as soon as we announced it, we got some comments that were negative, like, oh, I'm going to take my business to Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm like, Dunkin' Donuts support Pride, so that makes no sense, you know, like, so, but it's little things. We haven't had any like major hate. And even during Pride, we only had one or two counter protesters.
Yeah, there was like two guys out there with a
I'm a
microphone.
protest the
Yes,
protest.
and a sign, yeah.
and that was it. So it's like I'm honestly surprised though. I thought we would have more hate. You know, and I was on WNZF news radio, and who was, oh my gosh, I forget his name. Brian? I think his name is Brian. But they interviewed me, and you know, he made it known. He's like, you know, I'm religious and this and that. But like even that conversation, you know, we were there for an hour and it was super educational and respectful. And I don't think anyone here who actually matters has hate per se towards us, you know,
because they're usually more intellectual people.
Exactly.
But a lot of like ignorant people are the ones who are like, I don't want anybody to infringe on my rights, but you can't do
But
this.
you can't.
Can't do, you're right.
I mean, because even with the LGBT aside, I get enough crap with just the sex health stuff. You know, people are like, how can you put yourself out there, and how can you talk about this? And
Yeah, we
you
were
know,
like, oh, this would be a great guest. for us to have.
like I'm sure there'll be some comments at some point with this as well.
But you know, we want to make it a point to that our goal of this podcast is to shine light on local businesses, local educators. Like, you're just as much a part of Flagler County as anybody else.
People
you know
that
what
do
I mean?
stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and like, I don't feel like you're being silenced, but with the Pride thing, we were like, oh, let's amplify this.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
No, I'm super, and I'm just loud. Like because in the beginning it was a lot harder, because remember, I've been here since 2003. So, and I started doing this, you know, 12, 13 years ago. And that was even harder because I was a 20-something-year-old going to these networking events saying, hey, I'm a sex educator. And boy, like, it was like, are you
Quit
even
pitching wool on the job?
oh my God, are you even old enough to be talking to me about this? Like, you know, like it was, and you know, a lot of the networking events, it's like, I hate to say it, but like at the time it was just older, like white guys, you know, like realtors or whatever. And they just look at me like, really? Like, you're 20 something and you're talking to me about sex. Like,
do you ever get any stuff from like wives or anything like that? Who are like, don't talk to my husband about sex?
yeah. Yeah. It sucks because like I've been asked like, well, what makes you the expert? Like, especially if you're talking to men. And I'm like, I'm a sex educator regardless of what your gender is. Like, sure, I don't have the male body, the male anatomy, and I can only talk on my education and you know, and I get that, but I don't. When you go to a doctor and you have a female doctor, is she not going to treat you because you're a guy? Like, it makes no sense.
Well, yeah, and I listened to like you know, several of your podcasts too, and you're not like, guys, you need to do this.
No.
You're like laying out like a, I don't even want to say scenario, like facts, topics.
Because I love education so much. I'm very I do love statistics. I love just putting the facts out there. And yeah, I never gear my podcast or my speaking engagements towards a specific gender. I always try to see both sides and everything in the middle, and this is what you could be doing, and yada yada. You know, but even with that, you know, sometimes I do get, you know, like, well, what makes you the person to talk about like male sexual health? And with women, you know, sometimes I feel like certain people are intimidated by me. And I don't mean to come across.
It's like, you're telling my husband I need to give him head twice a month. I ain't with that.
But then there's some women that is the complete opposite. They're like, man, thank you so much for like
showing them where the G spot.
Like,
you're gonna have girls DM you about thank you.
Yeah.
John, thank you. You're gonna get me like married now.
I remember in like Meet the Parents when
You're coming to my wedding.
the Fokker's
Meet the
parents were all
Fockers.
like that, and you know, Robert De Niro was all like harsh, but by the end, like leaving Fokker's parents, they were like,
There you go.
yeah, I feel like the dad is like a person your type describing.
She always gets brought up, the mom who's the sex professional, like in that movie
Of the Fokker?
of the
Mama
Fockers.
Fokker.
Yeah.
Mama Fokker. Yeah.
That's hilarious. So Well, real quick, I would definitely like to take the time
Take the time.
to shout out to our sponsor, Piccolo Place. We want all of you guys to go follow his page. He is a huge supporter of us, always has been. And, boom. We just wanted to shout him out because
Awesome.
we're having a great conversation with Erica Rivera right now, the Sexpert. So now we got to know you a little bit more. Back to my questions. Okay. So this is a little bit about, how can I say this? Like sex in relationships. Like, can you have sex too early? Is there a thing about, like, let's say I'm trying this new thing now where I don't have sex with them in the first 90 days. And I'm not, okay, I'm just going to say it. I don't want them to fall in love with the dick. You know what I mean? Like, I want them to get to know me first. You know what I mean? Like, I can't give them this amazing stuff and then expect them to not act delirious. You know what I mean?
Well,
so,
actually,
like,
I'm gonna give you the best 3 minutes of your life,
that's
girl.
not. I mean, and that's not a bad way to go. And I'm gonna say why. So, like with women, the way most women fall in love, yes, is usually through that type of physical intimacy, whereas men don't necessarily fall in love that way. Men like to feel some, because again, I can't generalize all men, but for the most part, men like to feel like they're needed,
Right.
let me do this for you. If someone, if that girl needs help, that's what kind of gets you guys going more so than, you're not going to fall in love through sex the way like a
Exactly.
woman would.
And we'll be like chilling, and it's like week one, and I attribute it to like and this, you could tell me if it's manipulative or not, or if I think I'm just thinking logically, but there's a power struggle going on, and like we don't have sex. Like, I'm taking you out to eat. I'm
Exactly.
doing it. I'm
You're
doing
like
it. You know?
providing and in other
then,
ways.
And then the girl is like not texting as much. She kind of like playing hard to get a little bit. But then like after you have sex with a girl, now they're, where you at? Where you? And then the guy is a little bit, oh, I'm not going to take you out as many dates. So I'm like, let's keep this going on. Trust me. Because my problem is I almost feel like so I'm having sex, I hate to say this, and this is gonna sound horrible, but it's like I find out possibly post night clarity in just a relationship. Well, that it's like you really don't have much going on. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely wanted to have sex with you, but I want to get to know you. But now you kind of ruined it by me having sex with you. I don't want to say I don't want to get to know you, but now that I get to know you, you might have wanted to wait for me to get to know you first.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? Because like, all right, sex is cool, but a lot of them, after you have sex, they get comfortable, and then they're like, because you don't really know much about the female. They're very like, they're like, oh shit, they might have a lot going on. But really, I'm not saying all women. I don't want to be misogynistic.
Right. No, yeah.
But it's like,
we're all talking general terms.
yeah, they just be like chilling at the house, watching Netflix, eating junk food. And I'm like,
Like,
what's going
like we
on?
just fast forwarded into a serious relationship in 2.5 seconds.
You know what I mean? And then they're like, oh,
Wait,
what are
in
you
3
doing?
minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
It's like, and then they'd be like, oh, what are you doing? It's like, but they feel a sense of entitlement, which I can understand because you did give me a.
Well,
your
there's an
body.
attachment. There's an emotional attachment there for sure
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to sex for women. That's why I was saying, like with men, it's different. Our hormones and your hormones are totally different. Like what gets us to fall in love with someone. So I don't think that's a bad thing, but I also don't think there's anything wrong with having sex early. It just depends on what the goal is, because, okay, if you want a one night stand, then
Can you take
be understood that that's a one night stand.
Can you take someone seriously that you hooked up with on the first night?
I
What?
think it depends. I think it depends. I've seen relationships blossom from situations like that, but they may have, they may have had the time to at least talk to each other, hang out. Whereas some one night stands, you don't, you meet the person that night and
Yeah, I was talking to Dave, and I met this beautiful woman. She's Dominican and Puerto Rican, so beautiful, perfect body type. You know what I mean? And like, what is that?
I'm Puerto Rican, so I'm like, oh, did you?
Man.
Those Latinas, man.
Oh, we're going into we're going into the myths too about that, because I heard something about Puerto Ricans, but it's like, or Caribbeans in general have the water parks, but we're not going to get into that. But so she was so amazing, and then like we went out to the club, went on a date. It was so beautiful. We were like holding hands, jittery and stuff like that. We're like on the way back to my apartment, back from the club, and like she got drunk, you know what I mean? She just started going crazy. Started going crazy on your boy, you know what I mean? And then I'm like, what is going on? And then from there, we went back to the my place, and then from turning back from the place, and then from turning back into my place, we hooked up on the first night, and I was like,
Okay, but you made that decision too, right? I mean,
yeah.
but
Okay, so that's where it's just like,
because you could have said, I'd rather not on the first date, but you still chose to, so it's not 100% her bad.
I'm not saying it, but it's like, okay, this is my thought process.
Okay, but now once it happened, then what? Because now I'm like,
I think in my head she might hook up with another dude on the first night. She's like a possible, but
and you might too, because you did it too.
You're right about that. You're right about
So she
that.
might be thinking the same thing, like, "Oh, well, we did do that. Maybe he's going to do the same with somebody else." But ask yourself, why is that an issue for you? Because
I think I'm
it's
insecure. I think if I
Yeah.
leave for a weekend, she could go out with her friends and hook up with a dude on the first night.
If you guys are not committed, it could happen. It could happen. And that's actually cool that you admit like it could be an insecurity, because it's if it's two consenting adults, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But if you feel some type of way, you got to ask yourself, okay, why does this bother me? Like when she could easily be thinking the same thing, and
I guess I'm like, John, I know you're cool and all, but you're not the shit. Like, if she might do this with you the first night, like, there's definitely more popping people out there. But
how do you feel about that, Dave? Like,
I think about like if a girl hooks up
if
on the first night.
if a girl hooks up with you on the first date, are you worried about her doing the same thing with somebody else?
I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily no.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that.
Because I was
mean,
just
what if-
telling him, like, she might be thinking the same about him. Like, you chose to do it as well. So even though it's bugging you, you did it too.
But why is
I don't like first night hookups though, which is
But-
crazy.
Then don't do it.
he's like testing them though to see if they will.
that okay, now we're going
Hold
behind
on, the thing about John
green
is
light.
he's like
Jesus.
That's true. He's not lying, but I'm like,
Then you test them, they fail, and then you're like,
that
and then-
whore.
but it's-
see, but that's like judging. But like you did the same
so
thing too.
judgy.
That is
Exactly.
misogynistic.
Exactly.
That
I'm
is
like,
misogynistic.
but wait, you did the same thing, and she might be thinking like, "Dang, I got drunk and I had sex with this guy. Oh, but he went for it. What if he's doing the same thing with another girl?"
No, I get it, but
Like-
then now her and I are like in this category. You know what I
Can I
mean?
point this out
it's
about
like
John,
a
though?
fork in the road. It's like, or
Man, you guys make sex stressful.
John's like a very like he's like got a very like postmodernistic like oppressor oppressee like thought process on everything, and like everything's a power struggle, and I don't think that a relationship is got to be a
It
power
doesn't
struggle.
have to be that way.
And in fact, and like, oh, what are your career goals? Blah blah blah. Like,
I think that's an
I'm not
important
just
question
saying
to
like
ask.
like don't like let everybody just be a bum. Like have some standards for yourself, but at
Right.
the same time, like be reasonable. Like you just said that you're not so great just because she's not so great either. However, I feel like a lot of women do gas themselves up in the beginning. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I got some college, but really, like you live at your mama's house and you ain't doing nothing. And like, just because you're not going to be like a multimillionaire power couple together doesn't necessarily mean that she's bad.
right.
No,
Or
I'm
there's
not-
got to be like a control power perspective of everything. I don't agree with that postmodernism theory. Really.
You know, what I will say though, in my defense, is, and I think this is, I really think they just say this. I think it's less. They say 50% of marriages don't work. Now, once again, poor planning. You know what I mean? It's like, and I see this in other people, and it's like, let's even say you marry young, you know what I mean? And then you kind of like, you're driven this way, but they're just like, oh, I just want to live a free life. I don't care about making money. I just want to travel. I just want to have a lot of kids. It's like, this doesn't make sense.
No, eventually you're going to grow apart through experiences.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're okay with growing apart, but I'm like, no, I really want to vet them. You know what I mean? A lot of dudes, they will hook up on a chick on the first night, then they're mad when their girl's a hoe. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm not saying, obviously, that's for guys too. I'm gonna say that. Yeah, I don't want to be misogynist.
I know,
I'm
but
just speaking
it's
from
like-
mine. But my thing is, at least for me, I know for myself, which I have cheated in the past. I'm not gonna act like that. I have, but I know that I'm ready for a relationship.
Yeah.
And like, I want my girl to be able to turn down a dude. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
with
but
it.
she might want you to do the same, and you fail every time.
Solid point.
Like, what the heck, yo? So, like, I want to vet them, but I'm gonna get my 3 minutes no matter
You
what.
thought you were
That is
vetting
the
me.
problem.
Like,
That damn 3 minutes.
Oh, you thought you were interviewing me?
You know, so like, but I think, you know, on a serious note, I think it's good that you're wanting to like vet people and you're picky and you're like, I want to have that longevity in a relationship, but you have to act the part too.
That's true. Because
That you
I
have
want to
to.
invest.
Yeah.
I really want to
What are
invest.
you showing her by giving it by going against the very thing that you want?
That's a valid point. Okay, so let's just
Hold on. You mentioned post-dick or post-nut clarity. The pre-nut
Yeah.
disclarity,
Disclarity.
unclarity, whichever it is.
so let's say, okay, we're great night at the club, and then we're on the way home, and she might start feeling on your boy or whatever. It's like, no, let's not do this on the first night.
It's totally okay to say that. And if she's cool with it, because some women may find that to be a turn on, actually, you know, because we're so emotional, we may like that a lot. Now, if that person doesn't, and they're like, well, F this dude, you know, whatever, like, you know, whatever, then that's obviously not the person you're trying to have
Wow.
longevity with.
Wow. We just solved something here today.
I mean,
We just solved something here today, guys.
if you don't hear from her again because you decided, hey, let's not do that tonight, is that really who you wanted that longevity with?
That's deep. That's deep. I've even told people about the 90-day waiting period and stuff like that.
Girl, you're on a
I wanna-
90-day review right now.
I gotta
90
no.
days.
You're gonna wait
I'm
for
really
that.
I'm really gonna
You're
show
gonna
you.
wait for that 3 minutes,
I'm
girl.
really gonna
Are
show
you
you.
really like set on the 90 days? Because like,
I want you to read these messages right here real quick.
oh
Okay.
Lord, oh God.
Let me put this out there real quick. Now, say I'm on that 90-day waiting list, right? And now finally I'm up, and now you get the 3 minutes, and now they're disappointed, and they are like, "Oh man, I got 90 days with this guy already."
I waited 90 days
I
for
gotta
this?
shake this.
I want a
Hey,
refund.
you know, and then she starts like, "Oh, I work at McDonald's, by the way." Whatever.
all that time, all that time.
So look,
That's why I was like, are you strict on the 90 days?
so this person, I said, I'm working really hard, got a 5-year plan, blah blah blah. She says, sounds busy. Do you think that you are mentally available for a relationship?
Legit, he asked this.
Yeah.
No, she asked me
Oh,
that.
that was her? Okay.
She's on the
You're
left.
the
I'm
gray,
on-
you're the red? Okay, okay.
I'm the purple. She's the gray.
Okay. That's
I
like,
said,
oh, okay.
I said, I feel like nowadays people jump right into a relationship. I'm mentally available to get to know someone. I want to get to know someone for 6 months. I even upped it
6 months.
before we get serious. She says, I understand what you're saying, and I agree to an extent. I don't believe it takes half a year to know if you want to get to serious with someone. That's too much wasted time and energy. I believe that if you are moving with intention, that it shouldn't take that long. I was like, I feel like she tried to set me up. I was like, I need to meet your family, see what your bathroom looks like, see what you're like when you get mad. I also need to see progress in 6 months.
That's what you said, or she said.
I said
No,
that.
him.
No.
I'm like, because this is my thing. You smash a chick on the
nuts.
you smash a chick on the first week, And she claims that oh yeah, I got these 3 months planned.
But what
and then 4
about-
months goes later and they don't do nothing.
But what about getting to know someone organically instead of having a timeline,
And you know
though?
what?
Because
And
I feel
I've
it
seen a lot of his
depends.
conversations, and they all kind of go like that. Like, oh, what is your
Yeah.
day? What is your-"
Oh,
and like,
man.
and they're like, they start to go apart. They start to go apart. Like, I'm gonna
Go ahead, say what you want to say.
So like
We're here.
He met this
We're-
nice girl like maybe like 6 months ago, 8 months ago,
Okay.
with the Terra Novas, the
Yeah,
with us.
okay.
And she was nice, and then he was just, in my last relationship, this didn't work, and she's like, my last relationship, this didn't work, and then they're just checking each other back and forth of
No,
what
it's
didn't
called
work,
open
of
communication.
what didn't work, but it was in such a negative light, and oh, I don't know, man, she said this and this, and then like. It was like nitpicking.
Yeah, because now,
I've
now
seen the
you're
red flags.
now
I was
you're
like-
finding reasons for
Exactly.
it not to work.
Exactly. I
That's
was like,
true.
yo, that's a nice girl. Like, she was nice and she was funny. Me and Baby O both liked her.
Okay, so I'll explain the situation to that. So my boy had his fiance had a birthday party in Dallas. And I was like, you know what? It was like $75 round trip to Dallas or something like that. I was like, I'll get both of us tickets to Dallas, and then I'll get the rental car and stuff. And then I was gonna get the hotel. She's like, you know what? I'll get the hotel. I'm like, dope. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So now we're going there and stuff like that, and we're going through like the security and stuff like that, and then I'm like on my phone, kind of just chilling. She's like, John, get off your phone and go through the line.
His version.
I'm
I know.
like,
I want to be there.
I'm like, and
Just like that. Just like that.
yeah. But this is my thing. She like had only been on like one flight before where she was like 15 or something like that. She's never like
She might have been anxious.
She was like, John, there's people waiting, and we're right here. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about the people waiting in line. The fuck? Like, what's that got to do with me? I'm just, you know what I mean? And so I was just from there. I was like, Dave, you don't know. Like, she's like a germaphobe, which is cool and all, but she's like very like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, this is just not gonna work. That's why it's
So
just
you
not.
knew,
Gonna,
you knew in that moment.
yeah.
Like
you know, and then like this is the second time. So it's like right now it's 11 a.m. Checkout's at 12, right? And we only were there for like 2 days. I brought a backpack with just like a couple outfits. She brought like a whole suitcase with mad shit. So no, listen.
Hold
So
on, let me stop you.
no,
right there.
no.
She's excited, clearly. Like, you've been doing this. She's like, oh, I'm going on a trip here.
We're on the way back. This is on the way back after the trip, but this is the last day in the hotel. So she's like, hey, we should start cleaning up. Like, checkout's in an hour. I'm like, all right. So I'm just like, I'm rolling up a blunt, and then I'm like on my phone, like scrolling stuff. She's like, I don't think you heard me. Checkout is in an hour. We need to start cleaning up. I was like, bitch, I did fucking hear you. Clean up your shit then. Trust me,
Oh
I'm
my
gonna be
God.
done before you. The fuck are you talking about? What the hell's going on right now?
They're so harsh. Like,
yeah, like that's so aggressive.
But I'm just like, why are you telling me what to do?
see, everything's got to be a power struggle. Like, I
It's
think you
not-
need to like stop that power
Yeah,
struggle.
she
What
was.
should I have said?
Oh my gosh! I like at least acknowledge you heard her. If you're on your phone, she probably felt ignored.
No, I said,
Did
all
you-
right. No, I said,
instead of-
all right. But I was continuing.
And then you
doing
continue to. She
yeah,
probably
but she wanted it done on her time.
See, everything's got to be that power struggle.
It's not. See, he's just saying things. Don't let him do that.
She agrees.
But I'm sitting here and I can see that. I can sense it. Like, I'm not saying that you're like anyone's wrong or right, but you know, you have already figured out this person hasn't been on many trips. She might have some anxiety. Like, what are you doing to have her meet you at your level? Like, that reassurance. She probably needed reassurance in that moment. She's probably someone who is structured and always on time, doesn't procrastinate. Like, she seems like a type A personality. And if you're just fighting that, then
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So, like, I'm not saying change who you are, but what were you doing to kind of bring her to your level?
Well, I believe that you shouldn't really bring anybody to
Well, no,
anybody's level.
but you're stuck in that moment.
Oh.
What are you gonna do?
Well, that's when I crashed out. That's when I crashed out.
Yeah, like I
was like, this plane
I
is
agree.
crashing.
I agree that in the future, maybe you don't talk to her anymore. But like when you're in that moment, what are you doing to like? Okay, we have to get through this.
I don't negotiate with terrorists. So I had to dominate the situation. Just be like,
Oh my god!
and just be like, bro.
You said
But it's
I
just like,
had to.
Had to
assert
dominate.
my
Yeah.
Nah,
dominance.
I did.
Fucking misogynist.
I'm in charge.
It's not that. Well, yeah, not that I'm in charge, but you're not
He was
in charge.
He was mad because
Yeah, but it's a team effort. She just wants to make sure you guys are checking out in a timely manner.
yeah,
I don't think she was trying to like overtake you, you know, or
Let me say this. I'm gonna call him out right now.
Spoiler,
Hold
I
on.
was done first.
Listen,
that's awesome.
he'll I'll be like, hey John, can you put a title on this video? You're not my boss, Dave.
Yeah.
You're not my boss, Dave.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought this up. I'm so glad you brought this up. So check this out. Check this out. Okay.
You
Even
don't
though I
tell
am
me
the
what
boss.
to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, since we're speaking, I'm gonna tell you.
Let's not get too off the topic though.
Oh, now let's not. So this will be Dave. Dave will be like over there smoking a cigarette, like petting the dog. Oh, John, go do this. I'm like, you go do it, Dave. Oh, John, you know I don't know anything about social media. Well, learn. That's my thing. Like, don't just use the fact that I do know about social media to then that I have to do
put it on you,
Exactly.
on your plate.
So then, yeah,
We're all
I
good at-
snap. I'm like,
we're all
bro,
good at different things.
but you're not.
Don't try to assign
he's
me
not
to-
good at anything.
I'm
not good
an
at any-
organizer.
It's not that we're okay. Let me say he's
So
good at
you're
things.
trying to play at people's strengths. Your strength is here, so you should do that.
But,
My
okay,
strength
what's
is
your
here.
what's your strength then?
What is
See how he's
hold on? What is Warren Buffett
What is
say?
your strength? No, what's
My
your strength?
strength is overall organization.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
See, that's just a way of saying I'm the boss and tell people what to do, but people actually do it.
Look,
I'm late. He's been doing this my
when I
whole life.
started at this hospital, right, we all took a personality test, and out of maybe 150 new hires, me and the house supervisor,
But you weren't the
who were
supervisor.
overviewers,
Right.
tested with a type D personality of we're not worried about the details. We're not worried about this. We're looking at the whole picture
Must be nice.
and trying to, and that's like the personality type that
That's
I
what
have. And
you
that's
have.
what
Must
I'm
be
good
nice.
at.
You're not good at
You,
it though.
on the other hand, are like the a technical person. You enjoy editing. You enjoy this and that.
But the thing is, I'd be fine with that if he had like experience in podcasting or video editing or social media marketing. You can't just be like, oh, I'm the guy that tells everybody to do everything. I would love to do that. I'd love to be like, yo,
You're like Dave the delegator.
exactly. Because then what am
I learned delegating techniques in
Okay,
school. Like that was a big part of BSN training.
delegating tactic.
It is.
So you're just
Everybody
keeping
learn-
him in check.
So then, okay,
In the lane.
what are my strengths? Video editing,
Everything.
social media marketing, creating the graphics, reaching out to people, setting up meetings, buying and researching what the podcast equipment
This
should
is
be.
the one situation that he sucks at asserting his dominance.
Again, yeah.
Well, I'm
This guy never
starting.
stops.
No,
Never
listen.
stops.
You're like,
I
I'm
do.
starting now.
See, that's exactly what the problem is. And it's a problem with me in relationships too. I let it go on for so long because I love him and I love this. And like, so this is what happened. We have like 5 followers, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna talk about Lil Dave too. Gave up on the TikTok, you know what I mean? Didn't post anything. But it's like,
Hey.
Dave, not posting anything on Facebook, not engaging with anybody, not posting.
And you're over here
anything.
with everything on your plate, and
Everything
you're
on
like,
my
I
plate.
can't get to that.
Exactly. Oh, John, what about the 811 Vine video? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, Dave, edit it then.
What
I
about
don't
the-
know how to edit.
What about the 101 things that I'm doing over here?
Exactly.
This is being hyperbolic.
So I'm not. This
He
is
is.
real. This is real. So we are month 1, John, everything. Month 2, Dave, can you do this? Oh, he didn't do it? John, everything.
Oh,
3,
month 1,
John,
first
everything.
viral post. Dave's idea. Oh, 5 followers. Now we have 200 followers.
Dave's idea, but with John pushing. John, Dave, are you going to do
Dave's
it?
idea.
John's
do it on the
like,
technical
I
side.
executed it. I executed it.
But
It sounds like you guys need to divide your tasks a
So-
little bit better.
exactly. So now that we're like starting to climb, shout out to Dave reaching 1,000 followers today.
Yay.
And now,
Congratulations.
So now Dave's like, John, where's that video at? John, I'm like, I was like, no, we're not doing this. I'm not gonna like carry this on our back for 6-7 months. Now that we finally get our first sponsor, and there's actually something looking kind of, Dave's like, oh wow, I see the vision. John, this is what we should do with the podcast. I'm like, the
You're
fuck
feeling
out of here.
inspired now that there's like progress.
This is like when the kid like finally makes the NFL and the dad comes back. I knew you could do it, son. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. I'm the mom that's been here with him. He was crying. He was helping him with his homework. Doing it. Now you want to come in and say what's best for what he should do in football.
Now it's about to grab my attention. Now it's worth my time.
Oh, now you.
Now it's worth it. Now it's
You're gonna have to
worth it.
start crying going to therapy. So yeah.
Oh my god.
It's not that dramatic though. It's
No, it really is.
No, it's not.
So we're in here working on this together. This is right before you show up. And then
Yeah,
all
I
of a
know. I
sudden,
want to hear about this fight.
yeah.
Like,
Look, so we're like setting up, and there's cords everywhere. None of this was set up. It was all in this box. And then out of nowhere, Dave's like, "Where's my lighter at?" And he has a cigarette in hand. I'm like, "Dave, we're literally in the middle. I told her we're gonna be a little bit late setting up."
and I even
this
came
like,
15 minutes later.
right. This is like it's 11:55, and he's taking a smoke break in the middle. I'm like,
This narrative is misleading at best. Misleading at best. First of all, I was cleaning this place up because we've had a lot of activity in here over the past few days, and I'm not gonna have you walk into like some kind of
you finished
pigsty.
before I even showed up. You
I finished mopping
You're
like
we can't have the
15 minutes
Sexpert walk
before.
into a frat party, guys.
Exactly.
Like,
Well, no, I like to keep this house. It's me and baby over here all the time, and it's like a household. It's not like a flop house here at
He's
all.
deflecting. He's deflecting on
No,
the smoke
that's
break.
one
Go
point.
back to the smoke break.
So I am watching the dog
No,
outside.
no, you said the dog will be fine outside by himself.
The dog would be fine.
Okay, thank you. I'm so glad we're keeping you accountable right now. Before he even thought about the dog, he was looking for the lighter. Trust me.
No, well, whatever. I don't set up the wires. I've never have. I don't even know
We
how
know.
to set the wires.
We know.
Again,
We know. We know, man. We know.
I don't set the wires. I don't do
know.
the social media.
We know.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
No,
We know.
I do that.
No, you.
I don't do. Listen, okay. Oh no. If you want to argue, doing the social media is not reposting. This is not a repost page. We
Right,
have
right.
original content. is
No,
not.
it is reposting. It is reposting.
Oh, I
don't agree
reposted
with
this.
him.
I reposted that. Who cares? What original content did you create?
Our followers care. They want their stuff reposted. That's what we
It's
offer.
a business disagreement. But we're moving forward.
But see, I
That
created
could be
the
a
business.
whole nother podcast.
I created the business. I created the business.
Because I've done a lot of social media, but let's
Yeah, let's go back to the sex thing.
Exactly.
We got in a fight.
This ain't a John and Dave podcast. This is a Sexpertise podcast.
rehashing the cigarette break.
Yeah,
Damn
let's
it,
go
that
back to
break.
let's go back to what this girl said. She said, because I said I wanted to meet their family. You know what I mean? She
Right.
said, why would anyone let you meet their family if you're not even serious about them? How am I going to be serious about you if I've never met your family?
I kind of understand where she's coming from. I don't know if I would, once you introduce someone to your family, I feel like that is serious. That's a serious step.
But how can you be so what? Okay, what if I'm dating a white chick
Okay.
and her and I get serious? Now I'm in because for me to get serious, now I'm invested.
Yeah, you're like, okay, now I'm
And
invested
then-
in this person. What if I can't stand their family?
Then I go over there and she got like a drunk uncle who's making racist jokes and stuff all the time.
But
I
is-
want to meet the uncle first.
But is that going to affect?
Yes.
Are you going to
Because
allow
I'm gonna
that?
have kids with her, and it's gonna be over there at that kid's house, at their house. So that's why I need to
John.
learn these things.
John,
Am I wrong, though?
you're not. No, you're not necessarily wrong. Because to me, like your preferences are your preferences, and I totally respect that.
I just want to
You
make
know,
sure my kids are in a
But
safe
there's like,
environment.
there are so many. Like what? Okay, let me ask you this: what is the perfect partner in your eyes? If
It doesn't.
nothing,
Yeah, it doesn't have to exactly.
not
I think-
perfect, but
yeah.
for you, what is?
Okay, somebody who has short-term and long-term goals,
Mm-hmm.
and they're striving to reach them. We can have fun and stuff, but like, you have a goal that you're trying to reach.
Right.
I have goals that
And
I'm
you don't
trying to
care necessarily what that goal is. You just want to make sure they have an aspiration of sorts.
You know, it has to be like, like no offense, but it can't be like cup stacking or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it has to be like, but it can be, if it's music, go for it. If it's art, I may not feel like it's going to be like monetarily, but I'm not looking for monetarily from my woman, but I am
Yeah.
looking for her to be.
You want her to be goal driven.
Yeah, because I feel like if they're not, I've literally seen, especially with social media, they're just
But if they have,
on your ass,
If they
just
have
about
the
like, oh, what are you
traits-
doing? What are you doing? I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
yeah, if they have the traits that you're looking for, family could mess that up. In your opinion, it could
A
mess
racist
that up.
family, it could. You know what
Well,
I mean? Like that's a big thing. You know, like if she has like a crazy alcoholic family, or if they argue in front of us type stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's definitely a problem. If they got like a parent who's just like cussing up a storm and doesn't care about nothing type stuff, yeah, that's a problem for me.
Yeah, because then you're at that point you're letting go of someone that could potentially be very good
Yeah,
for
you're
you.
not just marrying a person; you're marrying
You're
the whole
married
family.
family, and that's true, and
what I mean?
and that is true.
I've
And,
al-
and I'm not saying I lean one way or the other. I was just curious to hear your
I've even
perspective.
recently, like, and I'm not getting, I don't want to get disrespectful to anyone, but like, I've kind of learned that even dating women who have children, I need to meet your baby daddy. Because like, you know, it could be one thing, but this is like an 18, 20
Well, especially
whole
if they
life.
co-parent,
Yeah,
they're
you
going
know
to
what I
be in
mean?
your life.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's say no, he's not in the picture, whatever. But then like, say he comes back in the picture because it's, like I said, a whole long 20-year plan, you know, and then like he's an alcoholic and like might slap her on the ass or something like that. Like, but it's like, okay, is she gonna like tell me about it? Because then now we got beef, and I might be like, I don't like you like seeing your baby daddy because he's disrespectful.
Yeah.
I
don't
She's like, well, I gotta
necessarily
see him.
Yeah, I don't see anything really negative about what your needs are when it comes to dating. My thing is like the strict 6 month or 3 month or whatever. Because to me, you might get to know someone a little quicker just because organically you guys flow like that. It may take longer with somebody else. Are you dating multiple people during that time frame? Are you getting to know multiple people? These are all factors as well.
Yeah, that's
you know. So
that's why I was saying like,
because I get what she means by like, dude, like half a year. Because it's true, you might be able to get to know those things about someone in 2 months. You know, who knows? It depends on how much you guys are hanging out. And
another thing, I had an ex. We were together for a while, and then we broke up. And she was like, "Well, what are we supposed to do now?" I was like, "Why don't we just be friends?" She's like, "Well, do we even know how to be friends?" It's like we weren't even like friends.
to begin with,
We just like, you know, we like went on a couple of dates, and then we hooked up, and then it's like now we're in a relationship. And I was like, you know what? That's a valid point. So like, there's like a female now who it's like, I am friends with this person. Like, I feel like, so it's like, okay, if it comes to some girl comes to tell you something, yo, we're actually friends. You know,
Right.
like, you know me, you know when I'm lying, you know if I'm telling the truth, you know if I'm blah, 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 you know what I mean? Like, or you could trust me, or like, if this doesn't work out, we could possibly still be friends because we were friends before.
because you were
know?
friends originally, so you know how to do that.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like, but you could, another example, when I travel, I like to like smoke weed. You know what I mean? Like I'm a smoker, especially if I'm not traveling with my parents anymore. Majority of the time it's on my own dime. You know what I mean? Because I feel like the women don't, anyways, not often pay. It's majority of the time the guys are paying.
Can I say something? I feel like you want two different things. You
Yeah.
like want someone who's equal, but you also want someone who's like
Wait,
submissive and
where'd you get that? I
to
want
your
someone that's
dominance.
equal. Where'd I get somebody that's equal?
Well, with all your goals and your career-driven thing, but submit to me and let me be the man and take care of you, but have a high-paying six-figure. You didn't say that verbatimly,
Right.
but
I
that's
don't
kind
see
of what
where
he's
the
insinuating, right?
I don't see where I'm not asking equal for having goals.
What about like a
being
leeway,
driven.
bro? Like,
Well,
I feel
I'm
like
not leewaying
You know,
on
I hate the
goals.
term boundaries. You're violating my boundaries. My boundaries. Now there are boundaries that should be respected.
Yeah, for sure.
But you
For
can't
sure.
use
Turn your
that
mic,
as
please.
like
No, turn
a wall to like have no accountability or what? What's going on?
Turn the mic like this.
The mic itself. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's like creating like some kind of a slur to like shut somebody up and what
Yeah.
they're saying. And like you in a relationship, you can't just be like, oh, this is this, this is that.
Yeah.
Like,
So
where's the flexibility?
like,
at?
are you wanting to be, I guess, a power couple, but still have that
Turn the whole thing, Dave. So
almost like you want to both? Like, I want us to be a power couple, but at the end of the day, I'm still the
guy.
dominant
no, I don't even.
role, or
And I'm not trying, but
you
I don't
correct
understand.
correct us
Yeah,
if we are
I
wrong.
don't see where you guys are getting the dominant thing from. Where am I saying, hey, I need to be dominant in the situation? I'm just saying, like, this is where I'm at.
That's what you're
And
implying.
You can either meet me here or go
Or
somewhere
that's
else.
it. Yeah, I
I'm
see
not
what you
saying
mean.
because even like in a relationship,
Yeah.
I just want to work and like I'll put my money here and stuff. You can say what if we're using Spectrum or Duke Energy or FPL or like you could say what house we're gonna live in. You can talk to architecture. You could do all that. I don't care. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
You could say how this whole relationship is gonna go.
You just want a goal-driven, intelligent.
Right. Now,
Woman.
what I was gonna say before Dave interrupted is like I went to Chicago with a chick, you know, and she's like, I don't feel comfortable driving like in other cities, especially Chicago. It's huge. She's like, John, you're a truck driver. You can read maps, you know? Okay. So now we're at like I'm driving the whole time, you know.
Yeah.
She's just in the passenger seat on her phone on Facebook, oh ha, 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 looking at memes and stuff. So I'm at like a red light, and there's like a lot of lights in Chicago and stuff. So, and she's like, John, it's a green light. I'm like, oh, okay. I go, like, I'm traveling too. I'm trying to talk to people, show pictures and stuff. There's another one. John, it's a green light. I'm like, yo, do you want to drive? Like, you're trying to dictate what I got going on over here, and you're just chilling over there. I want to chill. I'm literally driving the whole entire time.
is
But
like-
you wanted to drive because you're an expert.
No, she wanted me to drive. She didn't want to
But she
drive.
was nervous about driving.
So then let me drive. And
But-
if I'm at a red light and it turns green, then just let that be what it is. You're not driving anyways. You don't care. You're just chilling. We're just driving around town, just
Were
exploring.
you like on those stoplights? Were you trying to also be
Yeah.
on your phone and stuff?
Yeah. But why do I never get to be on my phone? Okay.
Because you're driving.
Okay, then, okay, but look, this is my thing. This is, I feel like the other person's dominant. They don't want to drive and they want to tell me how to drive.
But why does he have to see again? This always
Why
comes
don't
back
you-
to
if
some
you
kind
wanna-
of
This is
power
just
struggle,
this is
right? Like,
the checkout, the same checkout situation as the hotel.
Yeah, because it's like, yo, okay, if you want the car to be driven a certain way, drive it.
She let you know that the light was green because you didn't notice that it was green.
That's fine. But no, she was getting frustrated. Like, John, every light you're on your phone. Okay, just chill and relax. Don't worry about the lights. Don't worry about none of that. It just chill. The car is gonna go where it needs to go.
well, you
Like,
just met her. She don't know all that.
no,
She
this is a
probably
different. This is a different.
different-
Yeah,
I'm saying,
different
but it's
chick,
not the
different
same
chick.
situation, though.
no,
Different
but
chick. Okay.
but I'm just saying, like, that's what it's like. I just feel like it's just
Like if you're telling me to do a task, let me do it the way. Trust that I'm
or-
gonna get it done.
or not. That's like me being like, Dave, it gives me anxiety. I don't want to build this table. You know what I mean? And then like, okay,
And then you come and tell him how to build the table.
yeah, he's like, Dave, get off your phone and finish building the table. It's like, bro, you come build this table. What the fuck? You got, and then so that's where I'm like, how am
Yeah.
I the dominating
It's
one?
crazy.
I'm really just sticking up for myself with
Yeah.
Dave, with everybody. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
stop telling me to do things and you don't want to do them. If you want the fucking 811 video put it out. You edit it and
I
put it
totally
out.
see.
Teach yourself how to edit just like I did. Stop like gaslighting me, making it seem like I'm the reason it's not out. You're also the reason it's not out.
Stop guessing.
I know. It's not, well, it's not gaslighting.
Is that gaslighting?
No, gaslighting is not that.
It's when you turn something around on somebody.
Exactly. Now, let me
That's
tell
what
you
he's
this
doing.
about,
He's
let me tell
turning
you
it
this
around
about
that
811 video.
811 isn't out because of me. It's not because of me.
Stop arguing, first of all.
No.
So far off topic. Let me tell you the facts. He wanted to. He met some guy who he is impressed with, who's a
Right.
video editor.
Right.
He paid the guy to do
Right.
his video.
Right.
So let's shoot it from two different angles and record the sound
I
separately.
paid him out of my own pocket for
Which
our
I
business.
said, don't do it.
Right. Wait,
Don't do it.
What's the other option?
Let's just shoot a one camera thing and do it. Bam.
Yeah.
That's not what he said.
No, I gotta get bam bam. And then he's like, "Oh, this is complicated. We can't do it. You do it." I would
No,
basically
listen.
edit like a basic video. Now you want me to do
Listen.
a multi-angle, blah blah blah.
This wasn't possible because there's no internet in the 811 Salt Spa where we did the actual thing.
Oh, you guys went to 811. Yeah,
So
yeah.
we couldn't do this setup with the one camera. We
Yeah.
had to have the multiple camera setup.
Yeah.
That was my point. That's what I'm saying. You don't know anything about podcasting or video production. That's where I'm getting at with this. So you're giving advice on something you don't know anything about.
My point is
You
we
were
have
trying
the
to go
footage.
budget friendly.
We have the footage. Let's get the footage out.
Yeah.
And
Put
it's
it
been
out.
like 5 months.
Put it out.
Well, 811 folks, if you're listening, I
John from Wikipedia.
I know those ladies. That's why I was like,
'cause we know.
oh, you know,
We already put the footage. We put footage out for them.
Yeah.
We put a tour video, but there's also
Another-
a podcast interview that we did.
yeah.
But we had yes,
You guys had issues.
yes,
Yes.
technical whatever they call
Well,
it.
let's draw
That's-
this back in. and
That's
get
wild. We
to-
went
to
from
her.
sex to like,
Yeah, that's the,
Talk about
look,
John.
Look, that's the mounting frustration that has ruined every one of your relationships. Because he's not
Dave's single,
communicating
too.
in real time. And see those resentments, they're all coming out right now in a volcanic gaslight.
but that just means
gaslighting.
you feel safe talking about those things with me.
And you know what? This is like been allowed. I mean, maybe it seems like I'm like kind of loud for you, but I don't know. It's not. It's not that serious. You know what I mean? I hope that's coming through also.
I know. I'm sitting here. The only thing I'm wondering is
I
like,
know.
I hope you're not actually mad.
No, I'm not
that
mad.
what's
No,
up?
no.
Both of
Neither,
you.
no,
we're not mad at all.
I'm like,
no.
I'm sitting here like, am I mediating this? Am I mediating?
Earlier,
He's definitely like my big brother.
My
We're
son-
just arguing.
You
My-
guys fight
yeah.
like siblings.
My
Yeah.
son
For
earlier
real.
was like, he's like, you guys are like, you just bicker. And he's like, you're like a married couple.
Yeah,
Like,
and
you're
it's funny
married.
because the dog is both of ours. We co-parent the dog. And I'm like, stop feeding it human food. He takes the food out, and he's like, stop beating the dog. You're beating it too hard. I'm like, it needs
But
discipline.
it wasn't necessarily too off topic because relationships
Yeah.
are part of this conversation for sure.
Exactly. She does couples, right? And right now we're talking about.
That's why I was like, am I mediating this right now?
We're send us an invoice. But
Yeah.
I think she's on my side. I think I won at the end
I
of this.
don't think that at all.
I think I'm gonna watch this back. I think she's on my side, dude. You're way wrong.
Let's move on.
Exactly.
There's like certain things. I see both sides. I'm that person that I can see both sides of the coin with you and these women that you've attempted to date.
Yeah, I'm just picky. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know what I mean?
That's okay to be picky. It's just you got to also have.
I also have commitment issues. But
really.
but hold on, it comes from also business because I look at relationships. Well, this could be a problem. Like as a business, it is because you're putting money together.
It is an investment. Relationships are an investment. But like we had discussed earlier, part of me thinks, and I could be wrong because this is the first conversation I'm having with you, and I'd have to like talk to you a little bit more. But part of me thinks that it's like you're almost finding reasons though for it not to work.
You know, because so many things have not worked in the past. Like, and I was like, Dave, this is the last partnership business that I ever do. Yeah. Just not even on a bad part. It's just you come to a point where someone wants to go left and someone wants to go right. You know, there's been times where I'm like, yo, we're going to do this. He's like, we need to delete that post, man. We're going to get sued for doing a promotion and stuff like that. I'm like, Dave, no, we're not. Like, once again, like, bro, I'm on social media all the time. Like, he's not on social media a lot. So it's like, it's fine. People like give away PlayStations. I was like, yo, share, follow our page, and I'm giving away PlayStation 5.
Why not?
And he's like, oh, well, you can't do contests on Facebook.
Technically, that's like illegal to do that at a contest. There's certain rules that you have to do and certain disclaimers you have to post. And
that is true. You have to put a disclaimer.
I'm like,
it's not out of line to add that information to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Anyway, are you bringing this back into me? And
no, it's just about relationships. It's just about relationships. I'm like, I want to do what I want to do. And once again, I was going to say, I like smoking. Sometimes girls be like, John, you can't smoke here. I'm like, then don't smoke here. Nobody's asking you to smoke here. I'm smoking here. Why are you telling me what I can?
People get nervous about illegal activity.
Then don't do anything illegal.
Okay, so, because there's a lot of discussion about like women telling you or suggesting to do or not do something, and that's obviously a trigger for you,
right? When they're not funding it, and I'd be like, yo, pay for the trip. I swear to God, I'll do whatever you want to do.
But when are you open to hearing someone else's perspective then?
When I feel like it has something to do with them.
Okay, so when it comes to you don't necessarily, unless you're asking for perspective, you don't want to hear.
I talked to I went on a cruise to Mexico one time, or no, we went to Bahamas. And I was talking to Bohemian. They're like, yo, I got some weed. I'm like, bet, what's good? I was like, just take this 20. And she's like, did you just give that dude a 20? I was like, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, I did. And she's like, okay. And then he comes back and brings me like some trees, you know? I'm like, pretty
Wait, and you told her not to worry about it?
Yeah.
No open communication about that type of activity?
Well,
between you and a potential partner?
Well, the thing is, I told her that I was going to be looking for some weed when we were there. Because I wanted to bring my weed off the boat.
But don't worry about it. Doesn't mean, oh yeah, this is the moment that I'm looking for weed.
Well, I think the less she knows, the better. Like, if you don't want to be involved in any kind of criminal activity, don't be involved in any type of criminal activity. But at the same time, I told her that I do want to smoke when I get here.
Yeah.
And she told me not to bring my weed off the boat. I'm like, okay, because she's like, they're going to be, I was like, okay, so then I'm going to have to find some here.
I'll just find some while I'm there.
Yeah, so then now I get some, and I brought my papers, though, and I'm rolling up on the beach. Now she's pissed off, and she's like, what if I was an undercover cop? Like, what if you got arrested? I was like, okay. And if I did, what? She's like, well, I don't want to be on a cruise by myself. I'm like, I can kind of understand that, but that's not the worst thing in the world. Like, I paid for the cruise for you. Like, oh, no, I have to, like, be on a cruise.
And the point is, he obviously wasn't a cop. So.
No, and I'm not saying that, you know, he could have been, sure.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm willing to
when people, like, care about you, you shut that away.
It's not even that. I think it's like control covered in care. That's like me being like, I don't want you to work, baby. Just stay home because I care about you. It's like, no, you really just want to like control me.
It's like it depends. it depends.
That-
Like,
I
if
think
it,
that happens,
it
yeah.
depends, because there are people out there who genuinely want to take care of the other person because they actually care. But there are situations where it could be hidden manipulation in order to make sure that you have control at all
You know,
times. If
and-
that person is, doesn't have financial.
And at that point, I will admit that I could have done a better job at communication. That's what I'm saying. I understand where she's coming from. But my thing, though, is like, if I'm paying for the trip, and it was like my birthday trip, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to do what I want to do on my birthday if I'm paying for it.
Do you tell these women, like this person, I would have told her ahead of time, disclaimer, it's my birthday. I'm going to do whatever I want. Be prepared for that. If you cannot handle that, maybe this isn't the right trip for you.
And I think that goes back to getting to know somebody.
Yeah.
Like, I'm wearing a cookies
'Cause
shirt.
if you don't-
It's a weed company.
Yeah.
Like, if you know, I have a weed YouTube channel. Like, I'm the Bud Shaman. Shout out to Bud Shaman. But it's
Bud
like,
Shaman.
if you know me, you know I'm smoking. Like, we smoke. I
Yeah.
smoke anywhere I go.
I think it's just the communicate. See, it always comes down to communication.
It does.
How we
It does.
communicate.
And transparency.
Yeah, transparency, because like I know if someone told me like don't worry about it, I'd be like, okay, well now I'm worried about it because you told me not to worry about it. Like, so what are you hiding from me?
Well,
it's just the way
And that's the concern. Getting arrested in another country
Okay,
is like a
let me-
valid concern for a
Yeah.
girl who's with a guy. She might not
That she
fully
may not know that well, you know?
Well, no, she knew I was. But anyways,
But it's not your wife or something like that.
Let me also say this too. Like, okay, here, I'm gonna like hand you my phone.
You're actually handing. Okay.
Yeah, and then Dave's gonna be like, "Did you just hand her your phone?" Clearly, you just saw me. So like, clearly you saw me hand Buddy the $20. Like, what am I supposed to say from that? Like,
If I ask why did you hand that man $20? You're gonna just say don't worry about it.
you want to say because he went to go get me some weed? Is
Yeah.
that what
Yeah,
you want?
that's
Yeah,
what
that's
happened.
exactly
Oh,
what
I got the weed, girl.
That's exactly. Yeah, I got that weed. I told you I was gonna get. Like, it brings a sense of like, okay, cool. Then he
gives
wasn't
me-
doing anything that he didn't already tell me he was gonna do.
I guess that's my point. Like, I already told her. It's
Yeah,
it's
but
giving me like
how do they know that
probation
that's-
officer.
But how do they know that that's the moment that you're doing that? You might be
But it's
getting
like-
something. You're getting coke or some shit.
Hey,
I don't know.
I'm buying some
like-
weed right now.
Yeah, but it's not even like that.
Hey, I just want to let you know.
You're
I'm
like
on-
exaggerating.
It's not, yeah, about my setting up. It's the same way.
No,
Wait.
Yeah,
Let's
slip
talk-
that in.
Let's talk about sex, guys.
Yeah, let's talk about her and what she's got going on.
Okay, I have one last sex question. You know what I mean?
Oh, all right.
Okay, so I believe, and I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody, I believe that vaginas can get looser. Like, if a girl, like, and I'm not saying forever, but
Right.
I've felt different vaginas.
Right.
Now, it's like, I'm not even saying, like, I don't want to disrespect, like, there's some, they could both be fire. You know what I mean? But, like, okay, let's say, like, a girl went on a girl's trip or something, got, like, pounded out by some, like, 10-inch guy or something, like, 3 days ago. And then comes back, and I'm like, man, this seems like somebody, like, restructured my home.
Restructured my home.
I'm like, someone move your couch somewhere.
That's so great.
Like,
I don't think that would happen.
Oh my
you
God.
don't think you'd be able to tell?
Yeah, I think it would be fine by the next day, probably.
Yeah. The vagina will expand because of sexual arousal, but it always goes back to its size. Now, if a woman has gone through like child labor and things like that could change things, but it's not as significant as like people say. Like when people are like, "Oh, I could have thrown something down that hallway." Like it's not like that.
Like, I'm not trying to get too technical,
Like-
but I'm gonna get kind of technical. But there has like, okay, there's been stuff where I like can feel walls the entire way, you know? Then there's been a situation where like after the initial, bro, it's just like,
It's like right there.
no, I'm saying it's just like, it's like an empty room in there. It's just like, wow. Like, have you ever
Well-
experienced anything like that?
Well, yeah, but I think my first premise is that like vaginas come in different sizes.
They
'Cause I
do.
remember when I
We're
was like
all
younger, like
different.
in like 16, 17, I remember like I had sex with this girl and I was like, and the girl had like a big vagina. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it was the thing. And it's like, it's not that it's beat up because she's like only like 16, 17, whatever it was.
Right.
So that's when I heard that first thought. But also too, if the girl's uncomfortable and she might not even show this or verbalize this to you, it's gonna clinch up.
It is.
And then the more comfortable you make her,
That's how
it's
it
gonna get
expands.
longer. It's gonna get, and like I've said before, like, don't worry about that, girl. Like, that means that you're more comfortable, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's not bad. You know, I actually would prefer that because that's showing that your comfort level is there.
Yeah.
And I'm not like, oh, this girl's loose because she's comfortable. Like that's,
Well, that's
but
the
it is
thing
gonna
is,
change. It's dynamic. It's not like a stagnant like tube.
we don't all have like the same vagina, and it expands the same and contracts the same. And like Dave was saying, and I mentioned earlier, is it gets larger with that arousal, with that stimulation, the comfort. Like it'll get longer and it'll expand in order to, because it's getting ready to receive. So, but it doesn't stay that way, you know. So, because sometimes people like will say like, oh, like this person permanently now has a huge vagina because she's been railed by so many guys. Like it's not like that. It always goes back to its size, but our original size is going to be different from girl to girl. It is going to be different. So it's not that some 10-incher 2 days ago like messed her up. Like it's not
Interesting.
like it. Yeah, it's not going to be like that. Yeah, that's a good question though. I figured it would come up at some. We were talking about men's sizes, so vagina size was going to be brought up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Vagina size. Nobody ever
Vagina
says that.
size.
Nobody ever says
But-
that.
It's a real thing.
Which
You never
actually
know.
it's really yeah. So yeah. So that just means it's a good thing. I know it sounds bad, but it's a good thing if she is expanding. It means that she is comfortable and aroused by you.
See, but that comes back to like the intimacy and like being like with your partner and like not just like doing a job. Like that's like a person as well.
Yep.
Like it's two people. It's not just you. Like,
Gotcha.
bomb. I got to go work. Like, you know, like
I need my 3 minutes. The 3 minutes is gonna stick with me forever.
It's gonna be like John, 3
That's
minutes
just
saved on that
John
phone.
3-minute Robinson.
That should just be the title to this. Is
gonna be.
John's 3 minutes.
I'm gonna do it. But
Oh,
you
my
know
goodness.
what I will say, because we're about to close this out, but we do need to do more podcasts.
Oh
with you.
yeah, I mean, there's so much we
Yeah.
didn't talk about.
You know,
clearly.
what I want to have on here is either a stripper who like strips in Daytona or something, but lives in Flagler County, talk about her experiences, or also like an escort, because we can also, well, there was a time when I might have helped women secure funds for escorting,
Okay.
but you know, just I would like for you to sit in while we talk to a female about that, and like I'd be like, Erica, is this like child trauma? Like, but it's also mixed with like needing money, so survival. You know what I mean? Mixed with using the resources that God gave you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think it'd be great for you to sit in with them.
I think
maybe-
that would be a great episode for sure. For sure. I'm may have a guest or two that I could
awesome,
probably suggest.
awesome.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate you.
Well, before you wrap up, all right, what is Care Foundation?
So, the National Care Foundation. CARE stands for our Center for Advocacy, Resources, and Equity. So, we recently became a 501c3 in March. And thank you so much. So, after being a sex health educator for over a decade, it's really hard to make a living doing this, you know, finding people to pay you for speaking engagements and, you know, finding couples or singles that are willing to come in and have intimacy coaching sessions. That's pretty difficult in this area. I'll be candid about that. So I was like, how can I still put my message out there in a way that's less intimidating? And so right after COVID, I became certified as a victims advocate because I wanted to work more with sexual assault survivors and domestic violence survivors, given that that's part of my history. You know, especially sexual assault survivors that are re-entering healthy relationships, talking about sex health with them, how to kind of not get over because we never get over our trauma per se, but how to kind of cope with that and still have a healthy relationship. So I became a victims advocate and I was like, okay, asking someone to pay for me to come do a speaking engagement versus saying, hey, if you want to donate in order to have support resources for these survivors. It's that language. It's different. Plus, I want to do more for our community. So that's where the National Care Foundation was born, and it's national because I do speak, in other states and stuff like that, and I visit other states. So it would be nice to have a center, at least one center in every state, in order to keep bringing that awareness and providing support services to survivors. So that's how the National Care Foundation came about. And so a lot of what I do now is under the nonprofit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to say that you got going on? I know you got a lot.
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
you said
say-
that's the thing earlier.
I was gonna say before you head out,
Yeah.
maybe talk to the people about some things they should show up to.
Yeah, so our next major event is going to be October 25th at 6 p.m. at the Streamline Hotel in Daytona. That's going to be Living Behind the Mask. It is a fundraiser for the National Care Foundation in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is in October. So we're hoping that this will be an annual event. Tickets are $50 per person. It does include dinner, and it's semi-formal attire. It's a masquerade benefit. We're going to have speakers, 3 speakers. We'll have Dr. Maria Dowling from MD Consulting. She's a keynote speaker. And we're also going to have Christina Quinn from Central Floridians for Social Equality, which is another 501c3 in the Volusia County area. Both chambers will be involved. So we have our Palm Coast Flagler Regional Chamber here. Hoping to get the Daytona Chamber on board as well. But that is October 25th at 6 p.m. That's our next major event that I would love to see some familiar faces at.
We're gonna help promote it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And all the 100% of the proceeds, well, at least of what we take, because, we got to pay for certain things. But those proceeds, I will not pocket. They go to the foundation so that we can continue to help survivors in our area and educate on prevention.
Awesome. So,
And then, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, where
say-
can people find you? What were you gonna say?
What, there's something like at the Rotary Club or something?
Oh
We're
yeah,
having a meeting there?
so I am speaking at the Rotary Club of Flagler Beach. That's going to be on the 28th at 8 a.m. So I'll be speaking on domestic violence prevention at that meeting as well. Right now, our main focus is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, since that's in October. So a lot of what I'm going to be talking about within the next month or two is going to be on that. Yeah. So
That's awesome.
And yeah, you can.
We're coming to the Rotary Club thing.
Yeah, please. That would be great. That would be great. I mean, it's here.
Yeah. We're gonna
And
meet like a lot of other business people and stuff like that.
yeah, it's a great group. This is my 3rd or 4th time speaking at their club. Yeah, I've spoken on sexual assault prevention. I'm going to speak now on domestic violence. I actually did the history of like belly dancing
Oh wow.
at the Rotary. At
Yeah,
the
we
Rotary
didn't even get to talk about
We didn't
belly
get to
dancing.
talk about belly
Yeah.
dancing.
We can talk about it. I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys, how are we on time? I mean,
We're at 2 minutes and 2 hours and 11 minutes right now.
oh my gosh, I have a meeting at 3 o'clock.
So,
It's
yeah.
like 20 minutes.
We can
So-
bring that up for the next
Yeah,
time.
next one. So, yeah, belly dancing, it's a big part of the story, because a lot of people are like, how does that fit into what you're doing? It does. So stick around.
Definitely. We'll bring that up on the next one.
And yeah, you can find me at the Erica Rivera on all platforms. And if you want to follow the nonprofit specifically, it's at NTL Care Foundation
National
on all
Care.
platforms. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you coming through.
Thank you
I'm
guys
definitely
for
gonna.
having me.
I'm walking out of this podcast. Ladies, be ready for me.
Let's go.
We're going to 4 minutes. You think you've seen the best yet? You haven't. Well, once again, shout out to our sponsor, Piccolo Place. We love you. Thank you for supporting us. Please follow the Erica Rivera.
Yes.
Follow Piccolo Place. All of our supporters, all of our sponsors, and just continue watching us. Like, subscribe, get us to 2,000. That's the next goal.
Let's
and
go.
Everybody, thank you.